across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, I know that we've caused some consternation on this show about our take on Angela Rayner, but I want to say this to you. I still maintain that it is wholly unacceptable for a child to get a payout as a result of a disability from an NHS hospital, and then for mum to, how do we say this, get the money out of the trust in order to buy a holiday home. I'm not saying that what Angela Rayner did at the trust was illegal. I'm not saying that, because it isn't illegal. But she has sold part of her house to her disabled child who lives in the house. If it was your mother, if it was your father, if it was anyone that you know, they would not allow a disabled child to get a payout from an NHS hospital and then use the money to buy a holiday retreat in Hove. Nobody with any decency, with any morality would do that. And I don't care what people say about she had the right to do it, she's got a difficult home life, okay, fine. But what we are talking about here is a child that received a settlement that has to last for his entire life, and then immediately part of the house gets sold to him by his mother, and she says, well, I don't need the house because I never visit, which is what she said, even though presumably that's where he lives. I think that this is just admittedly legal, but hand in the till, Asher.
I mean, is it legal, isn't it? I mean, she's not avoided tax, she's evaded tax. That's what the conclusion is.
Oh, that bit's illegal, yeah.
So it is illegal, and she'll have to pay fines, of course, and, you know, I don't know if there's going to be further investigation. But, I mean, I think we've got, and Chuck's pulled a blinder, there's a big exclusive. We've actually managed, I think, if we can... Is Angela there? I think we've managed to get her. Hello, Angela.
Hiya.
How you doing, man? Sorry to...
So do you still maintain that you did things proper?
You look, I just say, you look absolutely nothing like Peter Andre, so I'm really confused. I've no idea. This is the last time I take any messages from Diane Abbott about whose show to go on. I've had a really rough day, to be honest with you, and...
Well, you know, the lawyers came out and said they didn't tell you to do that, and this is what all this kerfuffle's about. I mean, Angela, were you telling the truth or were you telling little porkies?
Well, look, as a proud woman from a working class background, I just want to say that I am very humbled by the position that I got myself into. It was a proud moment in my life, and I'm very pleased with how well I did and how hard I had to work to get to where I got to.
But you didn't.
So,
but with respect, you didn't work that hard. You took money out of the family trust in order to buy a holiday home in Brighton. That makes John Prescott look like Mother Teresa of Calcutta.
Right. Well, I'm not across the details of quite how it happened. I did get some advice from. I'm not going to say who it was.
Yeah, but Angela, the detail was son gets payout for medical negligence. You get holiday home in 5-star accommodation.
I don't think it's quite as cut and dried.
Isn't it?
That would be perfectly. No, it is not.
Why?
But, you know, I'm happy to talk about, you know, all of the wonderful, like I did in my resignation letter to Okea, about all the wonderful things that I achieved in government. I'm happy to talk about that, but I think you need to leave my family out of it. I think you need to leave my son out of it.
Well, you didn't, did you? You didn't, Angela, did you?
You lifted the family court rule to give...
Yeah.
Listen, can I tell you something? You are the Philip Schofield of the Labour Party. Try a sob story in order to mitigate your wrongdoing.
The ultimate hypocrite. Here we go again.
No. That is... No,
yes.
not... To be honest, I was thinking about maybe coming out as non-binary after all of this, but
will it work
anyway,
for Jimmy Cranky? What about Dave Lammy? What about Dave Lammy taking your gig? What do you think about that?
I have to say I'm quite pleased that he's got a positive project, because he had an absolutely terrible time trying to grow a cervix for Eddie Izzard, and it was an absolute disaster. So he's getting his teeth into something that I think he needs to be occupied all the time, does our David, because he just ends up going all over the place, and he can make a bit of a fool of himself.
He likes double helpings.
Yeah. I want to ask this question. So there's something called the chicken run. Nigel Farage, who's got his conference today, is polling ahead in your Ashton-under-Lyne constituency. We've all noticed that Labour have a competitive chance in Brighton and Hove. Is what you're doing really just trying to do the chicken run in order to get a safe Labour seat?
I don't know what a chicken run movie.
It's when you leg it to another seat because you're going to lose the last one. You leg it down to Brighton. I mean, why did you go to Brighton? What's so good about Brighton? It sort of went past it a bit about 20 years ago.
I mean, listen, loads of my mates are invited. It's got a fantastic club scene, as you know. Do a bit of DJing. It's got a lovely, inclusive atmosphere. It's a city of sanctuary.
Yeah, but the beach is pebbles. It's not sand.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter. It is about the people. It is about the.
What, Zoe Ball?
Our lives there. Our Ivor lives there. He's trying to stay out of the public eye at the moment, but he lives in Brighton, and it's nice to see him occasionally when he's not posting things on it.
So what next for Angela Rayner? Will it be the nightclub DJing? Will it be? I mean, property development seems like an obvious career.
Fashion.
The mint green bivouac.
Yeah, bivouacs.
I had a bit of a word with Beth Rigby, and I said to her, is there any chance, because she's got her own show, and I said, is there any chance of getting me in as an extra presenter on erectile dysfunction? And she said, maybe we could get you in.
You're not left-wing enough for them, are you? You're not really left-wing enough for that lot.
I am left-wing through and through.
Really.
I have to say, watching Sky News covering your departure was like watching the BBC on Brexit Day. It was like a funeral. Yeah. They were devastated.
I did shout at the telly because I've had a few tins at that point, and I said, I am not dead. I mean, it's very nice what they're saying, and it's right that they mention as many times as possible that I am from a working class.
No, you're not, are you?
I am actually from.
You put an accent on. You don't speak like that, really.
I was told that you actually went to Cheltenham Ladies College.
Yeah.
That is very dangerous misinformation that you're peddling there. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm so sick of all of these rumours and nonsense. It is absolutely ridiculous. I have pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I've worked hard. You heard what Orokia said in PMQs, and I sat there and I thought, thank you very much. It was very nice. I don't know about Rachel though. I don't appreciate the smugness on her face.
Well, what's your final words for Keir Starmer then? Who's really, he didn't back you up, did he? Finally, what's your words to?
He backed me up in PMQs, and that was important. He had to do what he had to do. And, I resigned. I was not sacked. I resigned. The right thing to do. And, I don't.
Listen, you were clinging on. You were clinging on like the Terminator. Do you remember the end of that film? Every time the dust cleared, there it was, sort of having another go.
Yeah, that's
crawling
you.
back.
That's you. That is, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll be back. So
indeed.
Nice.
Really, I'll be at the back benches for a bit, and then I'll work my way back towards the front. You watch.
So we'd like to thank Angela Rayner for coming on the show, and also we want to thank Intel Lady, the actor, comedian, and voice impersonator, who also I think assisted Angela today in making that appearance. Thank you so much. Well, we've had a bit of a laugh with Angela Rayner, but I think this is a serious subject and something that we need to be extremely concerned about. And I want now to go to James Sunderland, who's the former Conservative MP for Bracknell. He replaced that dreadful communist, Dr. Philip Lee. Okay, so James, what do you think about the Labour Party at the moment? Because they really are in disarray, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I'm not sure I can follow Angela Rayner. I thought she was excellent. And it was obviously a very amusing thing to watch at this time of the evening. But I think seriously, I think Labour are in disarray at the moment. I can't imagine a party that is so ill-equipped and ill-experienced for the responsibility of office. And what we've seen over the last year, I mean, it's been a bonkers year. What we've seen basically is mistake after mistake after mistake. They're clearly out of their depth. I don't think there's now a single
James, it just feels
any business experience at all.
It just feels like, you know, when a government's tired after like 8 years and you're going into that last year before the general election and everyone's going, oh, for God's sake, you know, they've run out of ideas, they've run out of steam, they've got nothing to say anymore. They're only there for the sake of being there. It feels like that now after 1 year.
Feels like when they got voted in, it was started like that, really.
That's
didn't
right.
It? Yeah.
There was like 2 weeks.
They weren't ready, like you say.
But it does, but I mean, if you look at, say, you know, this feels like I remember voting for the first time in 1997. You know, that period leading up to the 1997 general election when it was clear the Conservative government's run out of steam and didn't have a great deal to say, and there was the sleaze and no real focus to government. That's what we have now with Starmer after 1 year.
I think it's true. I mean, I think 14 years in opposition. You know, we should be saying, 14 years of the Conservatives. What we should be saying now is Labour had 14 years of opposition to get their ducks in a row. They haven't done it. They've come in, they're not prepared, they haven't got a plan. The decisions that they've taken on many, many policy areas are quite frankly wrong. And if you look at the economy at the moment, look at unemployment going up, you look at inflation. If you have a look at those economic indicators, we're in free fall economically as well. Like or loathe the Tories do have traditionally an element of competence about them. And actually, I think it's disappointing the fact that the Conservatives did warn the electorate of what would happen under a Labour government.
But they had 14 years to change things.
It's taken us all by surprise.
They just carried on with Blairism, didn't they, Cameron? You know, they're the Tories. They should have reformed everything he did and done something. Why should the people give the Conservatives another chance?
Well, it's an interesting question because I think what we should be doing as a party is talking up the achievements of the last 14 years. And there were many of those. Economically, we were fine for most of it. We had relative growth for the 14-year period, but there were mistakes.
Well, the Boris wave was an unbelievable mistake. You know, it's not reversible, $1 million a year net.
Well, the funny thing is that that there were failures of leadership, in my view. There were individual mistakes that ministers made when they were in government. I have no idea, as a backbencher, how he managed to get the immigration figures so wrong. I think it took us all by surprise. So just to be very clear on this, I'm a right-leaning Conservative. I'm a centre-right Conservative. I'm a traditional Conservative. I believe in low tax, opportunity, aspiration. I believe in enterprise. I believe in low state, strong law and order, strong defences. You know, I'm on the right of the party. That's where we need to be as a party right now. What we have to do is articulate our policies.
But isn't that
to be clear on where we're going as a party. And in my view, what we need to be doing is a clear break with the mistakes of the past and the right people and the right jobs now to take us forward.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'll move on from this, but let's be clear. The person that was going to offer genuine change at the Conservative Party was Robert Jenrick, and then the Conservative Party, and I'm sorry to say this, just basically turned around and went, it's time for a black woman, and elected somebody who basically hadn't bothered to run a campaign. But I was a senior parliamentary assistant in 2010 for a Conservative MP, and I will say to you that I think the real problem with the Conservatives is that we all made a fundamental mistake. So I'm not blaming you for this, I blame myself as much as anybody else. When the Conservatives came in 2010, they genuinely believed that it was Gordon Brown's ridiculous mismanagement of the economy and the Treasury and the banking sector that was the number one issue. And in fact, everybody was pretty focused on that during that period. But what then happened, I think, was the destruction of the Constitution by Tony Blair, which sounded like a dry and dull issue in 2010. That is what's caused so many of the subsequent problems. And ironically, ironically, the economy was the only bit that kind of saved the day. But we've got all sorts of things. A Judicial Appointments Committee, which is determined to put in left-wingers. HOLAC, which is determined to stop any future right-wing government from appointing people to House of Lords who are sensible. Quangos, who waste money on stupidity. Whatever it is, Parliament has been denigrated. The creation of the Supreme Court...
Well, the government's been denigrated. As Dominic Cummings says, it's all a charade. The civil service is running things, and the first thing you need to do when you get in government is actually break all that down, because that's the thing that's blocking and they're running the country.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Parliament's sovereign in my view. Blair did dismantle the institutions. Look at woke. Look at how left-wing activism is now ingrained in our universities and our schools.
Yes.
This is institutionalised socialism. And in my view, we have got to take on the civil service. I mean, look at what happened with immigration. Personally, I think that the civil service did that 22, 23, and it came as a complete surprise to the government because the civil service were doing it. I think what we have to basically make sure is that this great reform bill that we're talking about now, if the Conservatives get back into power, and we will do at some point, what we have to do is now, as the priority, is unpick Blair's legacy. We should have done it over the last 14 years. I mean, I'm an army officer. I came in 2019. I'm a pretty balanced, pretty clear-thinking Conservative. I hope I'm a safe pair of hands. And actually, I'm looking at the mistakes we made in the last Parliament. And it grates with me now that I lost my seat because of it. So what we have to do now is get the right people in. We've got to unpick Blair. We've got to put the sovereignty back into the UK, the sovereignty back into our Parliament. We've got to secure our borders in a way that we didn't necessarily do. We've got to continue the very best of what we should have done.
James, look, I'm in an odd situation because I want Nigel Farage to be Prime Minister, but I also live in Windsor, and therefore it's pretty obvious that Reform are not going to unseat Jack Rankin in that seat. But my advice to Mr Rankin, who isn't here to respond, so I don't want to be too unfair, is that the Conservatives need to abandon a national strategy and need to say that they're going to become a small party in the home counties that represent a certain number of people who are fairly middle class, who are centre-right, but certainly not the sort of people that might exist in the in the Red Wall. Realistically, I suppose my question is this: is it your ambition that the Conservative Party becomes a national party again, or do you accept now that the Conservative Party is going to be a small regional party in the southeast of England?
Well, the Conservative Party is a national party. It's the most successful party probably in the world over a long period of time. You look at the electoral successes we've had. This is a strategic problem for us at the moment because Reform are clearly splitting right. But the Conservatives need to learn the lessons, they need to learn from the failures of the past. And ultimately, a lot of people have moved to Reform because they felt politically homeless. So I think those voters can come back. What we need to be is Conservative again. We need to put forward Conservative policies and principles. We need to move slightly to the right, in my view. The One Nation wing of the party, in my view, didn't do us many favours electorally, and we know that. Rishi Sunak should have taken the bull by the horns a lot earlier in terms of the Human Rights Act, in terms of the ECHR.
But James, once again, I return to the election for party leader. I think the election for party leader demonstrates that the ability of the right of the Conservative Party to take back the Conservative Party no longer exists. The bulk of... say you ran for party leader now. Kemi's toast, everybody knows that. Say you ran for party leader now. You'd be defeated by some rotter who's mates with Dominic Greaves.
Well, it's interesting because I think that the pain of last year's failure, the pain of the election result, should be a wake-up call for every single Conservative. So what we need to be doing now is we need to be gathering our thoughts. This is about strategic patience. We need to be working out what people want. There was no offer for young people, for example. Let's entice young people to vote for us again. They're the future. We're not the future. Let's work out what people actually want. Let's listen to them. Let's put policies in place that follow think tanks and engagement. What a phenomenal thing it would be for a politician to talk to the electorate. I'm knocking on doors still now. In fact, I'm going out tomorrow morning. And what's interesting is people are very keen to talk to me because they realise that politicians who listen to them and who work for the community and who deliver for them, as I try to do in Bracknell, my record of delivery I'm very proud of, frustrating to be a backbencher, delivering for the constituency, delivering for Bracknell, and yet to see the failures being made in government. It starts at the top. It starts.
But the quality's diminished, doesn't it, of your MPs and your leaders? In your day, you know, the quality has markedly gone down.
Do you mind if I just expand on that? Look, the reality is, what we have got is a House of Commons full of social workers, people who are very good at doing this day to day. Mrs. Miggins has lost her cat stuff, but the problem is there has been a massive decline in the quality of and the intellect of members of Parliament. I mean, look, Angela Rayner serves her cat something with a higher IQ than she's got. Let's be totally honest. You know, you look at idiots like David Lammy. I mean, I would have thought David Lammy was a Chinese spy, except he's such a big moron that he probably actually thinks what he's doing is sensible. I worry about this. I think the poor quality. Somebody like you, who's had a decent career before you went into Parliament, that's not very common now. It's normally muggins from the trade unions or idiots from left-wing charities.
I agree. If you're a trade unionist, if you're a social worker, if you haven't got any business experience, if you've not run or managed or led anything in your working life, how the hell are you qualified to be a politician? Go back to Thatcher's time. Look at the heavyweights we had there.
Correct.
Look at the good politicians over the years on both sides of the house. You know, Blair's government, a very accomplished government with very serious politicians who gained respect across the country because they were big hitters. Don't agree with the policies, but you can't fail to admire what they actually
But they did it through
Blair
PR, didn't they? And that's where politics has gone. It's all about PR and what should I say rather than what my conviction is. And people see through that.
It's interesting because, you know, as an army colonel, when I was leading soldiers, I always tried to tell the truth. I always tried to be honest and genuine and credible and authentic because I knew that soldiers who are clever people would see straight through me if I wasn't entirely honest or if I didn't wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think politics is the same. The electorate's not stupid. The electorate knows who's representing them. The electorate knows who the good politicians are. The electorate knows when people are spinning nonsense. Look at the spin coming up number 10 at the moment. It is unbelievable. We can all see through it. This is a government that lied and cheated its way into office. The guy that replaced me in Bracknell lied and cheated his way to winning that seat. And the nonsense coming out of him and his colleagues right now has to be seen to be believed. So let's be frank. We've got to tell the truth. Always, we have to be transparent. We have to listen to people, and we've got to formulate policies that people want to see. So let's have some policies for help to buy once again, to help young people get on the ladder. We do need to build more houses, but in the right place. We've got to basically put more money back in people's pockets. We've got to reward entrepreneurship. We've got to reduce taxation. We've got to bring people back to the UK to start businesses here and start creating the wealth. Governments do not create wealth. So in my view, what we need to do is actually quite simple in terms of principle, in terms of doctrine, in terms of policy. But we're held back by people who shouldn't be in Westminster in the first place, people who don't have the right leadership and the right intellect to be in Westminster, and we get the politicians we deserve. One final point on this.
Yeah.
If we are serious about getting the first 11 back into Westminster, we've got to pay the right money. We've got to make sure that our selection processes are right. We've got to get the right people in, not people with skeletons in our closet or people that they're doing all sorts of dodgy things or people coming out of brothels at 3 o'clock in the morning. Get rid of them. We need a zero tolerance approach now to misdemeanors in Westminster. We've got to get rid. We've got to make sure that our selection.
We're going to have to.
I'm going to make sure we've got good politicians doing good work.
Right. Well, that is the end of the interview. We've had you longer. It's just we don't have the time. But I'm going to have to do one thing, James. Look, we've decided on this special day that David Lammy, the new Deputy Prime Minister, was on Mastermind. So we're going to ask you a question from his Mastermind. What you have to do is not get the correct answer. You have to get the answer that Lammy gave. Right. Who is the son of King Henry VIII? You can have a think. What do you think Lammy said? I'll give you a clue. It wasn't.
I mean, the wrong answer and a stupid answer would be King Henry IX.
His was even worse than that.
His was Henry VII. You know what we're going to do? Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to give James the point for that.
It was Henry IX, wasn't it? It was Henry IX.
Simply because he got the concept, he just didn't get the number.
And which Marie invented the X-ray? He said Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette. There we go.
Her head was chopped
well, James,
off.
I have to say to you, that's James Sunderland. I have to say, I think if the Conservative Party had you as the leader, then it wouldn't have the problems it's got at the moment. Good luck in Bracknell. And we are going to go to a break, and after that break we're going to be, I think, taking some of your calls.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is
Where
Talk.
are we?
Whoa.
Yeah, put us on. That's better.
Oh,
I thought I'd disappeared.
Black screen. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're listening, but this is Talk.
Yeah, it looks the
Do you know what I
same
think
if
we
you're
should do? I think we should get people to follow my YouTube channel, Andre JP Walker. Come on. Oh, no, it's not actually. It's both. It's Andre Walker and Andre JP Walker.
Yeah. Do you remember when you used to go, it's www.
Yes.
Andre. Well, no, but I should start printing some T-shirts or something. So I'll do that. And some merchandise, Ash with my face on it. Car stickers, Ash my face.
Hang on a second. Check we should
phone
get
a number and you win like a balloon.
Let's get some mugs. We'll flog them 20 quid each, like Alex Belfield.
Next week I'll have something. But at Virtual Ash on Twitter, at Andre JP Walker on Twitter.
Hey.
We've already what?
They've just said in the gallery there's already 2 mugs here.
Yeah, you better. What
that reminds me.
Mind you, he makes a drink.
That reminds me of a quote that I wasn't allowed to put in the Evening Standard. Right, forgive the language on this, by the way, but Tooley Street down here is where London City Hall was, and they were going to open up a strip club, right? And Ken Livingstone and Lee Jasper objected. And I said, I don't think we need a strip club on Tooley Street, because if you wanted to spy a couple of tits, all you needed was to look at Lee Jasper and Ken Livingstone. Boom, boom. I thought that was a good one. They went, we're not putting that in the paper. We're not sticking that on the front page. OK, just to remind you that we've got Whale of the Week at 11. Just want to tell you what to do, because we didn't have time to properly say. All you do is you get your phone, right, and you go to the keypad and you put in 0344 499 1000, and then just add it, however you add it, to your phone. Obviously,
Create contact.
I've already got it. Then what'll happen is it'll come up in your WhatsApp, and then you just open up your WhatsApp, and we've showed you this before. Open up your WhatsApp, and you go to talkTV, which is here, and that's not the right one. There it is, and you can just leave a message going, "Hello, this is Andre Walker."
I like to say they're brilliant. They're brilliant, those presenters.
Yes, you just hold that button down with the speaker, and then let go, and it sends it straight through to the studio, right?
Oh, it's now we're going to be kicking the lawyer out of the studio. If you remember a few years ago, we had this lawyer. He'd come all the way from Manchester, Joseph Kochi-Monson. He came all the way from Manchester, and he lasted about 8 minutes. I felt a bit sorry. He was quite a nice lad, and he was quite interesting. Well,
we'll see
sometimes,
later.
Whale just doesn't. He defended migrants, and Whale, sometimes in one of those moods, even if he was speaking sense, he just wasn't. And he'd come 200 miles, had to go 200 miles back. I think he'd gone to see Man City play Crystal Palace at the Glaziers.
Well, I didn't want to appear on the James Whale show because what would happen is he'd just get angry with me.
A lot of people
Brexit.
liked being cut off, though. Some people used to phone in to get cut off. And then he wouldn't cut them off, you see. That was
so just to remind you, what the point I was making before is if you want to nominate a clip
for the
Weekly Whale, don't worry, it was for demonstration purposes.
But how can't it?
If you want to nominate somebody for something for the Weekly Whale clip, then you just send us a voice message, and we will do it. We'll do it. Okay, let's go to Roy in Hampshire. Roy, you are on talk.
Good evening, lads.
All right, man.
Oh, Andre, mate, I've got a serious question for you.
Go on.
Have you heard of this Fabian Society?
Yes, we've been talking about the Fabian Society an awful lot.
Yeah, I was just listening to the Plank of the Week, and there was a judge on there, apparently. Sadiq Khan is the chairman of the society.
Yeah.
And what these people want to do, they want to flood this country with immigrants to do away with Great Britain.
What they are is they're what I call. So I always say that in Canada there's the United Empire Loyalists. They are the American Tories, the people that believed that Britain should remain rulers of the United States of America. The reality is the Fabians are EU loyalists. I honestly believe now, and I know this sounds mad, I honestly believe that we should have given the option of some people to stay in the European Union when we voted to leave. So they should have retained their citizenship and been able to move to Brussels or Germany or France or whatever. People like Tony Blair and Keir Starmer, who really no longer consider themselves British, they consider themselves European. And that's what the Fabian Society is. They're not interested.
They're a communist society. They're Marxists. They want to destroy this country and then build it back up again. They don't know how, but that's their aim, is to just bring it down.
Yeah, if I was to belong to some Nazi organisation, I'd be locked up and put in prison.
Yeah.
But we know that we know that in this country, indeed across the world, people believe in well-meaning genocide. Right. So what they'll say is they'll say, oh, the Nazi genocide was awful, but the communist genocide, well, they were trying their best. Wouldn't it be great if the system actually worked? Whereas I would turn around and say, look, I would not want to be in IG Farben at Auschwitz, but nor would I like to be in the gulags of Eastern Siberia.
And
right?
Chairman Mao as well. Millions of people killed. Yet people used to wear the Che Guevara T-shirt. It's sort of cool, but it's a murderous. Murderous.
People believe there is such thing as a well-meaning genocide.
Yeah.
People think Aung San Suu Kyi. Look, she presided over the Rohingya genocide. She went to the UN to defend the genocide. I mean, at least Hitler never defended the genocide. At least he attempted to deny it. I mean, she justified the genocide, and she is still a popular figure on the political left.
For the greater good, that's what they say.
Yeah. My grandfather, he was in the Boer War. Well, my dad was in the first. I had 3 uncles in the second, and myself and my 3 brothers, we all served in the forces. My last war was the Falklands, mate.
What about your sons? I bet they wouldn't join now, would they?
Yeah, they would, mate. Yeah,
would they? Why would you want to defend this country at the moment? Why would you want to defend this government that is the enemy of the people?
Well, it's not the government, mate. It's the country.
Yeah, but what about a war with Russia and stuff like that, which we've got no, real part in? We can't really go to war with Russia, but that's looking like it might be coming to fruition.
Yeah, well, we haven't got the army and the troops, mate, like we had a few years ago.
Well, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And what have
Do you think we've deliberately run down the military in order to be defeated?
No, mate, no. I think basically it was just to save money. It was to save money. Money had to be found for this. Money had to be found for that. And, they did away with, the ships. Cameron did away with their aircraft carriers, with the Harriers. The Yanks bought them off us.
Yeah.
I watched them out in the Falklands, mate. They were fantastic, the old Harriers.
Yeah, I saw that we sold them off. They can't have been crap if we sold them.
The Americans don't like us having successful planes. Look what they did to Concorde.
OK, I think what we should do is go to a break before we go to Georgina.
That's good. Good
Do you
idea.
want to introduce it? Go on, Andrew.
What, the break?
Yeah, go
And now, everyone, please feast your ears for these important messages and go out and buy all these products. Back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, this is Talk. Let's go to our next caller, who is...
Georgina.
In London.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Andre. I'm calling this evening. I'm going to have a little bit of a rant about the government and the way I feel. I can't speak for everyone in the country, obviously, but I'm going to let you know how I feel, if that would be allowed. It should
Yes,
take 2 minutes
please,
and then
please
just
begin the
switch
rant.
me off.
Please begin the rant now.
Thank you. The British people are finally standing up and standing their ground. Even the silent majority have found their voice. They are standing behind Britannia and they are saying, we will not be downtrodden anymore. We will not allow you to censor our freedom of speech, our freedom of movement, or our freedom to pray. They will no longer empty their pockets to feed the insatiable appetite of the socialist checkbook, which gives to foreigners and takes the food off the table of our children. We will no longer watch our elderly and disabled community struggle on the crumbs left over from the migrant feast, or watch our veterans covering themselves in boxes to keep warm on our streets and having to beg for food after they have fought for our very democracy, whilst illegal immigrants are given £300,000 homes with underfloor heating. The parents of this country will no longer tolerate the abuse and assault on our children. We as a nation will not turn a blind eye, as our children are not dispensable. They are the future of our nation. We are saying, no, this is our country and this is our money, not yours. You have no right to prioritise foreigners before the British people. We never gave approval for this government to do this. You work for and on behalf of us, the British people. We are not the United Nations. We should be prioritised before anyone from foreign countries. We will no longer be silent to tolerate our country and everything it stands for being eradicated by a government that is permeated by lies, scandal and deceit, whilst pretending to be paragons of virtue. We have had enough. The population of Britain demands their country, their freedom, their culture and their very identity back. The government has tried to break our very spirit, but they can never take away our essence.
How long more?
We voted and won to leave the EU, and we do not want to be sidled back into it because of the...
No, that was
no,
good.
so there's a problem with a line.
That's not fair.
No, she's still... Sorry, Georgina.
No, Georgina, he faded you out, not me.
No, I didn't. I think there was a problem.
I'm sure there wasn't a problem.
No,
May
there
I
was.
finish?
Yeah, sorry, carry on. Sorry. Yeah, there was a technical problem. Yeah.
The government has tried to break our very spirit, but they can never take away our essence. We voted for and won to leave the EU, and we do not want to be sidled back into it because of the disgraceful money mismanagement of the present Labour government. We do not want digital ID or digital currency, and we no longer will tolerate being a political laughingstock of the world. We need deliverance. We need transparency. We need truth. We need and deserve a change of government.
Georgina...
That was like Gil Scott Heron, the revolution will not be televised.
Georgina, may I ask you this question?
Yes.
So what do you do? Do you sit there and go, right, I'm going to phone them up and write that down? I mean, were you reading that? How does that...
She was reading that. It's good when it comes from your heart.
Everything I said to you is from my heart.
No, but I mean, how do you present it? Do you do it off the top of your head? Do you note it down?
That was written down, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't written down.
Oh, was it? So you just do that off the top of your head?
Yeah, and if someone interrupts, then I lose my train of thought.
Ah.
What, like we were?
Yes.
Well, I have to say to you, so Martin has been in touch to say that he believes you should be the Prime Minister. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Georgina. What do you do? Are you retired? Are you working? What's your job?
I'm of retirement age, and I have my grown-up children.
Yes.
And I love to watch programmes like Talk, and there's not many of them.
Yeah, but what did you do? You're avoiding the question. What did you do in your life?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I was a mum.
Oh, really?
I was a mum, yes.
So actually...
You were unemployed then?
Let me just tell you something. Being a mum is the hardest job in the world, but the most rewarding and the worst paid.
Of course it is. I mean, basically what they did was they made it so two people have to work to raise a family, and they think that's empowering women. It's not. It's de-empowering people.
I think the basis of good family is a good family life. Having your parents, being able to go to your parents when you need help. I think being transparent with your children, giving them guidance. Not everybody is religious, but religion, I think, is a good, stable basis.
I agree with that.
For children.
Georgina, we had a bloke on yesterday, I think his name was Malcolm Collins, who was a pro-natal campaigner. He was basically saying, and I'll summarise this really simply, the real problem with Britain is forget immigration, forget bad government, forget whatever. Our failure to support the family at a grassroots level means that people are not going to have kids, and that means that our society will be replaced by whatever is coming over the channel. Right. My question to you is, what should we do as a country to change that? What are the policies that mums want?
Right, I think mums, there's a lot of people who want to just bring up their children, and I respect that. There was a day when I was a young woman where a mum stayed at home with her children and was the housemaker. We were the homemakers, and the father went out to work. And this, for me, has been the way I have been all my life. But I think now that young couples, they cannot afford to have children. They can't afford it.
And women are encouraged to go in the workplace, and they actually do rise ahead because a lot of workplaces will promote them more, and then they won't have children because they're in their career, and then it's too late.
But isn't part of the problem, Georgina, can I suggest this? Isn't part of the problem? So the reason women wanted to work, I would suggest, is not to neglect their position as mums, but to change the power dynamic in the family. Because obviously there was a period of time where if the husband didn't give mum enough money, if he drank it down the pub, or if he was frankly a bad husband, that created significant problems. Whereas obviously, if a woman's able to work, that does create more balance.
But it was all feminism as well, wasn't it?
Yes, well, I think feminism had a lot to do with burn your bra, go to work, be stronger than men. Now, I'm very old-fashioned, and I think that the man should be the king of his castle. And that's the way I was brought up. And you know, I don't believe in women being this all-powerful and, you know, they can take on anything and they can do whatever a man can do. I'm quite sure a lot of them would like to think that, but we have got to be realistic.
Well, they do different things. Women can do things that men obviously can't do, and that's never focused.
Everybody knows, Georgina, that women are good at some things, men are good at other things. As an example, I am good at driving to parties. My girlfriend is good at driving home from parties. Right? That is a division of labour.
We're good at carpentry, you're good at cleaning.
That's jolly nice of you to say.
No, not really.
Can I just say, though, also, when I was saying about our young couples not being able to afford homes and able to afford having families. Yeah. Well, you have a lot of migrants who come over here who are not working. A lot of them do, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot who are... 70%. Exactly.
70% of Somalian men who've come to Britain have never had a job.
Whilst our children are going out and working themselves to the bone to pay their rent and can't afford to have children, you have men from these third world countries who have more than one wife and are claiming benefits for each wife.
And the opposite's true. The more children they have, the more benefts they get. So it's the opposite, and this is why it's causing such a major problem.
And remember, lest we forget that Abu Hamza kept getting council houses for all of his wives. He ended up buying 3 council houses under right to buy.
Well, this should not be allowed in Britain, and those that are allowing this are destabilising our very roots of this country. We need to prioritise our own families, girls, boys. We need to nurture our children. We cannot keep putting them on the back burner. The British people should come first.
It's like listening to Thatcher. The British people should come first. We don't want these foreign people taking over our country.
I couldn't be compared to a more worthy woman.
Indeed.
I'm very proud.
Now, Georgina, thank you so much for calling in the show. I've got to be honest with you. We might at some point promote Georgina to being a contributor. But before we do, because as you know, this is an egalitarian show. There are people who phone in the show who we ask to come in and become contributors. Georgina is teetering on the brink of that. Chris from Surrey says, you guys just got made redundant, Ash and Thingy. Well, he thinks my name's Thingy, by Georgina. She owns every talk show she calls into.
Can we ban her?
All right, so Georgina, let's put the mic up. Georgina, are you up for coming in to do a segment in the show Thursday, Friday, 10 o'clock?
I haven't done security checks.
I am indeed.
Right, we're going to get your number. So don't hang up when I cut you off. OK, that is Georgina. Give Georgina a job at Talk, says Martin. We're going to get her in as a contributor. And I want you all to know that any of you that phone in can be promoted to being a contributor. We love Talk here, and we love people's opinion here. And we'll be back in a moment with an absolute communist. Back in a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, somebody's got in touch, Chris, and said that he believes that the way that you signalled Georgina to do one of her monologues is to get that big light and project the bat into the sky.
Yeah, they will know, yeah.
And wherever she is in the country, she'll phone in and suddenly deliver one of her excellent monologues.
Could just call us.
Yeah. So the bat in the sky is the way that we do it, apparently. Okay, have we got Christian Wolmar here? Okay, so Angela Rayner resigned today. I have to say, I think she has behaved absolutely despicably. I'm not bothered about the tax situation. I think the fact that she forced her son's trust to buy her out of her house was despicable. I think that she should have got along on her own however she could. If she had to buy a cheap house in a poor part of London, then she should have done that. But look, people are going to be angry with me for saying this, but in my eyes, to raid his compensation settlement in order to buy herself a house by the seaside, I don't think it's acceptable. Whatever she was entitled to, selling 25% of the house to the trust, I'm not up for. Anyway, Christian Wolmar is a former Labour candidate. Christian, before we argue about Angela Rayner, perhaps you can talk for a second about her significance on the Labour movement and what a blow this will be to Keir Starmer today.
Well, it is obviously a blow because I think she represented something totally different. I mean,
most Labour working class person.
Most politicians come up through a well-tried route. They get a PPE at Oxford. They then become a SPAD, a special advisor, and eventually they then find a seat and so on. And she's come from a very different background. As you know, she had a child at 16. She's clearly, working class, made her way up. And so in a way, it was a great story, a great backstory. And in a way, this is very sad, I think, both personally for her and for the Labour Party. And I disagree with your analysis there. She had some complicated affairs around her housing. She needs to support her son. She was trying to do the best thing.
But I mean, but Christian,
Andrew,
Christian, I love you to bits. But supporting your son is not sticking your hand into his payout for medical negligence.
That wasn't what happened. But anyway, let's just leave that detail alone and say that this is a woman who fought her way up from nothing to become Deputy Prime Minister, and she's brought down and she made some terrible mistakes. I'm not trying to defend her, and she was stupid and should have taken advice and whatever, but she's brought down by a cohort of the right-wing press who have got a scalp that they wanted.
She was hoisted by her own petard that she did against Boris Johnson. That's hypocrisy was one of the reasons. She's just a career politician like the rest of them, even though she had a working class background.
Let me finish. She's brought down by a right-wing press that is owned by people who are all tax dodgers, tax exiles, people who live as
exactly what happened with Boris Johnson and the left wing.
Stop. Let's just silence this for a minute. Hang on a second. Christian, they can't hear you. Christian, let me tell you this. Let's just be clear on something. She has evaded 3 times, £40,000 worth of tax. She has said that the reason she didn't need to pay the tax is because she never visits the house in her constituency. She has flogged 25% of her worthless house to her son's trust in order. It's not the right-wing press. It's corruption, hypocrisy, hand in the till, snout in the trough. And also, by the way, Christian, you're being very nice to her. But let's be realistic. Here's the alternative story. Here is a gutless moron who managed to get herself into the trade unions and flirt her way to the top, and then came down because she had a hand in the till. Your response?
It's rather laughable. I mean, you're just going down all sorts of ridiculous paths. But let me just say how much time do you spend on your program looking at, how Nigel Farage makes his money, how he has got earns money through a tax dodge that enables him to pay less tax than probably you two pay?
Well, yeah, but hang on a second. Nigel Farage quotes. I mean, I don't know about Nigel Farage's tax affairs, but let's just be clear. There's a difference between avoidance and evasion, right? Let's just be clear. Nigel Farage is accused of tax avoidance. I don't know if that's true or not. She has been found guilty of tax evasion.
Are you accusing Farage of that then, are you?
Guilty of anything. She's been found that she made a mistake.
Yes, but it's still tax evasion.
On advice that she didn't kind of pursue properly. That advice was wrong.
Which is evasion.
She made no attempt.
But Christian, you've come on the show. Christian, you've come on the show and you've basically said, "Oh, it's just the right-wing media. It's not her." You've come on the show to say we should be having a go at Nigel Farage. The Standards Committee, the Standards Commissioner, whatever his name is, Lindsay, whatever. This person has said that she evaded tax. Now, there's no accidental evasion. There's evasion, right? That's what she's done.
She made a mistake, right?
Which is still evasion.
A willful mistake. It was a willful mistake.
The mistake has been corrected, right?
Yeah.
She will pay
Has it?
that.
So she paid it back?
She got caught. You mean she got caught by the Daily Telegraph? She willfully misunderstood and thought she'd get away with it, and it's failed.
There are many other politicians.
Actually, Christian, I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm going to stop you there. Well, here's what I don't like. Right. This woman has been found guilty of tax evasion. Now, she may have done it accidentally, doesn't bother me. But the response here, Christian, oh, well, they're all at it. Who cares? You should be having a go at Nigel Farage and all this.
The right-wing press shouldn't have pointed it out.
It's basically just the usual thing. Let these trade union fatties get away with it and muddy the waters enough to blame everybody. Christian, your final sentence.
My final sentence is that I think that you have a view that sets you against people like Angela Rayner more than people who purport to.
All right. I think we've got that there. That's Christian Wolmar. We'll be back in a mo.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is a late show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and it's the moment in the evening when we remember our old friend. The funeral is on Monday, but I hand over to Asher.
Yeah, every week at this time we remember the great James Whale, and we're showing you little clips. You can phone in and suggest them to us over the week. And tonight's one is a great one because we're basically talking to this lawyer that came from Manchester. He came all the way that night, I think 200 miles on the train, and he lasted about 5 minutes and then had to go back. Apparently he did go and see Crystal Palace, Man City, so it wasn't all in vain. But on that day, just to put you into what was going on, 800 people had arrived on our shores on dinghies that day, and you know mine and James Whale thoughts on this, and it didn't go down too well. I mean, the guy was being quite reasonable, but that didn't really make any difference. So let's go back in time into the vault of the Great Whale and have a look at this. It was Joseph Cottrey Monson, and he's talking about illegal immigration. Run the VT.
The Refugee Convention suggests, and in fact mandates, anyone who's signed it, that if somebody is a genuine asylum seeker, somebody who's judged by a due process, not just because we don't like the way that they've come in, but just by a due process.
Are you completely stupid?
You haven't heard what I'm going to say.
Because what you're going to say is very annoying to me. I am very angry inside. I'm not allowing it to come out. These people who come in rubber boats or the backs of lorries are criminals. There's a legal way to come into this country. These people are breaking into our nation. And the majority of people in this country are fed up with it.
You want an answer to that, or shall I continue as I was going?
I'd actually answer it, or you can continue out.
OK, all right, well, we're going to...
Just answer it.
OK, well, what I was going to say...
You don't have to. I'm not forcing you to stay here.
Well, in fact, you invited me to be here. As you know, I've travelled 200 miles for the thing.
I don't know how long you've travelled.
But you know what?
I don't actually care how long you've travelled. You were asked to come on the programme because I want to talk about this situation with somebody who has a different point of view. But I didn't think somebody would come on and as radically say, these people have a right to come here until we find out who they are.
But actually, James, what I'm saying is not radical. What I'm saying is that when we as a nation have signed an international treaty...
You mean the ECHR following the courts?
Well, the ECHR has something to say.
But we're bound by it, and other European nations aren't, because they can use EU law and not be bound. But we are bound by it.
No, absolutely.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
And actually, our obligations go back further than that.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the old days like Churchill. It was envisioned for people, subjugated people, not people who just want to leave their country because there's a war.
Ash!
Do you know what I mean?
Ash, I would like to hear Joseph's response, or you can both go.
All right. Easy on Ash, though. We're all friends.
Yeah. We're not all friends at all, because people like you annoy me intensely. That you want to make a...
I don't have to stay.
Anytime you want to go, the door's over there, and I wouldn't keep you against your will.
At the moment, I'm regarding my invitation as excellent.
For goodness sake.
But it has changed, hasn't it, from Churchill's times, when we let subjugated
It's an interesting question, actually, Ash, because...
Excuse me, I'm sorry to butt in, but it's a really dull, boring question. I don't want to know about the law, their history and everything else. I want the people who are coming here illegally sent out. I want them stopped. I don't want them sent to Rwanda. That's a ridiculous waste of our money too. I want the Navy in the Channel and people trying to come here in boats and, not come the legal
Their lives are in danger as well in France.
I want them sent back to France.
All right, so
why are you against that?
So we've started, and let's hope that I get to the end of my answer this time, James, with respect. But we've talked about people who come illegally.
Yes.
Well, actually, the process by which it's decided if they've come illegally, the process by which it's decided, James, if they are criminals, is one that's considered by a court and our due process.
We need to change the law then, don't we? Because it's got ridiculous that anyone can just come.
How can you decide when people get rid of
if somebody's a refugee in the first instance, somebody who's for example fled persecution,
from France?
Well, no,
Is
because
France
these
such a
countries...
bad place to you, Joseph?
Well, I tell you what, France takes more than we do. In fact...
Why don't they take a bit more then?
Well, in fact, what happens when we say, OK, well, we're taking loads more of these people than others, actually, we take half as many
Not saying
as
that
the rest
at
of
all.
the European
Not saying that.
countries.
We are a small landmass, and we have not got enough teachers, doctors, nurses.
We've got
to
the same
look after
population
these
as France, but half the land.
Making a valid point there, I would say, James. And when we're talking about the competition for resources of hospitals, schools, I'm very sympathetic to that. But to blame that on immigrants,
no, it's the law. We need to change the law.
These are not immigrants. No, because you go on.
This doesn't work if you don't let me speak, James.
Goodbye.
Wait,
is that it?
No,
if that's what you think,
it doesn't work unless you let me give an answer.
No, I'm not going to let you go around the
I'm really
houses.
trying to engage with these questions.
Why don't you answer the question that I've asked you?
Because sometimes
People
one needs the attention
illegally.
span to get to the end of a paragraph to understand what the answer is.
It's too easy to get in.
All right, thank you very much.
I don't need to talk to somebody as condescending and as rude as you are. Thank you very much. I ask a question. I really can't get
It's got to go another 200 miles now.
Well, look, I want to know why a lawyer would actually think that he can just avoid the question.
He could probably get the same train he came here on, if it's still there.
Oh, shut up, Ash. I mean, I just think...
Poor guy.
That, yeah, it really is. You cannot... When I ask the question, there has to be an answer. These people come into this country illegally.
Well, no, he's right. It's legal, but it's because we've got ridiculous laws now that we can let anyone in who gets
How can it be legal for somebody to pay?
You just have to say you're asylum seeker and that's it. You legally can come in.
Very sorry, Asher, but I have to say to James Whale, I think you were right. I think that man who sexually assaulted a woman and a 14-year-old girl in Epping, I believe that when he's released from prison, he will say that if he goes back to Ethiopia as a convicted child molester, he will be killed and he will be allowed to stay in Britain on that basis. I think
he may not actually go to prison. They said expect a custodial sentence, but it could be, of course, suspended, and it wouldn't surprise me if it is. And then, of course, like you say, he'll be allowed to stay because he won't like the chicken nuggets, or, like you say, they'll punish him for these fines. So...
Yeah, so also, I've got to tell you this, Asher, that was said, and I don't know if I'm giving away a secret here, by Chuck, the producer, where he said that this bloke who came on, that lawyer, apparently was a big fan of James Whale, and he said, I said to Whale in advance, he's a big fan of yours, he likes you a lot, and he goes, well, I don't like him. Having never met him, never spoken
Well, Terry Tobin, the UFO, that's my art, you're mocking. He was a big fan, and like I said, never met your heroes.
So here is the suggestion that basically Whale was deliberately rude to people that he thought were fans of his.
Yeah. He liked to surprise people, but yeah, if you said you're a fan, that was a big,
that is
big schoolboy error.
All right, well, there's free lollipops from TalkSport at the moment, so let's go to Carol in Manchester while I quote-unquote suck
to celebrate this. Caroline. Caroline. Oh, Caroline.
only what you call it. I've just seen it on the television here, remembering James Well.
Yeah,
I have literally, over the decades, loved him, liked him, disliked him, politics, what you call it, or whatever. But at the end of the day, he always spoke the truth. He always spoke of how he felt, how he was, or what he thought was right. It didn't matter what you think was right or whatever, and I'm that kind of person anyway, so I can connect with him. And I've had the privilege of ringing up at time to time and whatever, and I've had one dealings where he's just whipped me off or whatever, and then I've had a few dealings where I've had a great conversation with him. So God bless him. That's all I can say.
Well,
in that way.
There's somebody who's got in touch with us who says that a lot of the debate that takes place now that's given rise to Nigel Farage was because of people like James Whale.
Exactly.
If you didn't have the ability to debate properly, then that never would have happened.
I mean, this station is, today we've had great viewership because when things happen like the Angela Rayner situation, the people want to hear the truth, so they tune here because they know they're not going to get that
well,
at Sky.
Well, the thing is, I've rang up, I've been ever so lucky today, this afternoon with the talk, which I watch a lot anyway, and GB as well. But again, today I was on Sky, you know, I had a little look on that and whatever.
What, to punish yourself?
And I absolutely fuming, absolutely fuming. You know, like us working people from the north with Angela Rayner. Why the hell? What they're going to do? Are they going to make a movie of her next?
That's a good idea.
She's been
Nicole
portrayed
Kidman.
I'd watch that.
At such, and Sky, never mind the BBC, Sky with it, you know, like I won't say the 2 presenters or whatever, you can watch it yourself in the between, you know, like the hours, you know, like before I'm speaking now. And all they did was portray is what a fantastic woman, you know, like she's done this, she's done that. And she's absolutely...
She can vape on a dinghy in the sea.
In
That's quite a skill.
A poor son, she's brought a son into it, which is... In the north, we don't do that. It's
we don't do that down here, you know.
It is. It's absolutely... It's shameful.
I mean, there is one other thing. There is one other thing.
I was going to say, the thing is, you know, my darling, you know... We came, you know, like I'm next door, I'm Tameside, right? You've got Ashton, Staley Bridge,
Vegas,
and Duckingfield, you know, like with that. That woman, where she bought her property, which caused all that trouble, it's like Land's End, it's on the other side of the country.
It is.
How the hell is somebody, which I don't understand, and I'd love the journalists to look into it, I don't understand why somebody like her or anybody else, Andrew Gwynn, we've got nobody round here.
Let's just be clear. And funnily enough, a friend of mine's just texted in about this. If you want to watch this on, I've made a couple of videos on YouTube which are not safe for broadcast, so to speak. You just go to youtube.com/Andre Walker. No, there's no,
not the naked. That's not his naked. That's a different channel.
But the point I make is this: that she bought a house for $375,000 in 2016, and now she's sold it to her son for the equivalent of £642,000. Now, those sorts of rises are not unheard of, right? In the 8 years.
In the north, it is.
But I have to say to you, I find it very, very hard to believe that her property in Ashton under Lyne is worth $650.
And I can't what you call it, because I'm not that expert, you know, like regarding with it. But I swear to God, what I don't understand is everybody portraying this poor woman who was 16, had a baby, had this, had that, or whatever. You go to the north here, right, you will see good people that have come through that. I've been 16.
Yeah, but it's not coming through that. That was a ruse. I remember.
Or doctors.
But Carol, we're, you know, she's a similar era. In that era, girls of 16 did that to get a house. She was already, you know, doing the property thing back then, wasn't she? And she might have to hand this. Now she's losing this job. She's losing about 40, 50 grand a year. She might have to sell the house or appear in the "Get Me Out of Here, I'm in the Jungle" programme.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you can tell me, right? We're intelligent people.
Well,
we're not stupid people. If we get from one house to another, and don't forget, their laws have put it in for a second house. These governments have put it in for a second house to pay the taxes or to pay whatever, you know.
Stamp duty,
I mean, I won't even go into, you know, the farmers or whatever, which is absolutely annoying me, because they're the people that literally keep us alive, not her.
But she has turned round, Carol. She has turned round, Carol. She has turned round and she has said that she's done it for her son. So, and what did she do for her son? There was a settlement. There was a settlement from his hospital that caused him whatever problems had been caused to him. When that settlement was agreed, she gave part of the house to him, right, to the trust, and then she has now sold her remaining share in the house to the trust and bought a holiday home. Well, I'm sorry, I've said this before.
Exactly.
I said it yesterday, and I'll say it. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it tonight. My mother, when I was 11 years old, disabled or otherwise, would not have sold her share in the house 100%. To me and bought a holiday home with the money. She would. Asha, would yours?
I feel
mine would. Yeah, mine would.
With my children and a lot of people around here, we've chatted. There's no way, especially with somebody that's got a disability, and to bring that out. And with the grace of God, I'm so sorry, Angela, that I have to say that you have used your son, right, to get yourself out of shit, and it's awful. It's not.
It reminds me very much of Philip Schofield. A very, very different situation. But Philip Schofield came out as gay in order to mitigate the fact that he had had an affair behind his wife's back. That's what he tried to do. And he tried to go, oh, let's just admit the gay thing. Oh, it's terrible, it's terrible, isn't it? Whereas actually what I would have said was, look, I don't give a toss whether you're gay, straight or anywhere in between.
Exactly.
You've cheated on your missus quite openly.
A bit like what Jimmy Cranky, you know, the former Scottish leader, saying, oh, I'm not sure about my sexuality. Like that.
Although we are all sure. Yeah. We're all sure. We've been sure for years.
I think a lot of people in the north as well, and you know us from the north, right? We're a little bit, you know, like, or whatever. But to use your child to get yourself out.
And by the way, thank you, Carol. We're going to go to a break now, but Peter's asked an obvious question. He said, isn't Angela Rayner's son too young to own a house? Well, actually, I think the honest answer to that is you can be any age and own a house, but the actual correct situation he's in is this. Think about this for stinking. Angela Rayner is the trustee of the trust that has the money held for the son. So she, as trustee, approved the sale of the house to the trust from herself.
She's basically in charge until he's 18.
Yes. So basically what she did was she said, I can negotiate anything on behalf, my son's behalf, for the trust, and what I wish to negotiate is for him to buy me out of my house that he lives in so I can buy a holiday home, and I value the property at £642,000. Now...
Which is ridiculous for a northern house.
I don't know how much out of trouble she is on this, because I've got to be honest with you, I think that to sell the house he lived in, and bear in mind her argument was, well, I'm selling the house because I never visit it. Right, well, he lives in it and he's your child. I said last night, does that make her a bad mother? And Alex Dyke said, no, it makes her a liar. Of course she visits the house. Of course she lives in the house. She's just pretending not to in order to be able to trouser £162,000 from the trust. More next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, this is an interesting one. I had compensation for a medical injury. If you open a trust account and put in any compensation, then it won't be taken into account when applying for benefits. Interesting. Interesting.
But she'll be on soon.
Although, OK.
Down the job centre.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You got any jobs for me? Some proper jobs.
I need a proper job. That's what I need.
Want to do it proper.
Yeah, a working class woman. I mean, that's the funny thing about Christian Wolmar, who was on earlier. I mean, the reality is, the big problem that Keir Starmer's got is he's got no working class people left because the working class people hate the Labour Party now.
Yeah. And they hate the working class.
Absolutely, the feeling's mutual. Yeah, Philippa is from Poole. Philippa, you're on talk.
Well, it's 2 waters we ordered.
Hi guys, how are you doing tonight?
It's a cutback. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Philip.
How are you doing this evening, gentlemen?
All right, man. How are you?
We ordered a glass of water from the production staff.
Why is it in a wine glass?
They brought us one in a wine glass.
Yeah.
Look at that. Everyone's going to think we're actually getting peed on here.
Here we are, class.
You've got vodka in there, really, haven't you?
Well, yeah.
That's what everyone would think, wouldn't it? I mean, that.
And they'd be right.
Can you get me a glass of water? That's the best effort. That was it, right? 2 glasses of water, thanks.
Yeah, stick to the water live on TV. I was just.
Do you want to finish that, Asher? Sorry, go on.
I was just ringing in to talk about the Reform Conference today. Sadly, I didn't get to go because I wanted the £2.5 ticket, and I just couldn't stretch to that. So it's like, go big or don't go at all. But I was watching it all on YouTube today, and I think the speeches were absolutely amazing. I think Zia was incredible with what he said. I thought Nigel was really charismatic.
Did you see Kyle and Mike Graham? They have performed. They did a little performance there.
Yeah, I've seen that, and
Jezza was pressing the flesh of all the people. Did he come and press your flesh?
No, because I wasn't there.
Oh, right, yeah. Because you didn't want it. What is this £2.5 ticket you wanted? What does that get you? A steak with Farage and a Rothmans?
Something like that, and you get to the after party.
By the way, sorry, let me just say this. Nobody, right, you said something the other day, nobody looks more like a Rothmans smoker than Farage.
Yeah, he is. He's a Rothmans.
He does look like a Rothmans smoker.
But, so did they make any hay with the Angela Rayner? Because that was a schoolboy error. They should have waited to fire her before...
what Farage did his speech at a different time because he didn't want the reshuffle to clash. So it all swapped round the agenda today.
Yeah, it did, and I just thought it was really, really amazing the way they handled it all, and the protester that was trying to heckle Nigel as well. I think he did that with a real sense of humour, and I think they've really got some momentum going now in the party, and it was really interesting listening to the guy from Canada who'd started Reform over there, and him giving a speech and giving a bit of background on the ideology, and I thought it was really, really good.
Do you think finally they are the actual grown-ups in the room?
Stop, everyone. Look at that. It's now a champagne flute of water. Right. What are they doing? What's going on?
Cheers.
You two are terrible in the evenings on here, honestly.
Cheers.
A champagne flute of water.
Chin chin.
Unbelievable. Sorry. Come on, Philippa. Let's.
Yeah, but I just think that they've really got some momentum now, and I think that we should all really, really get behind all the local councillors, all the MPs. There was a young lady that was interviewed as part of the women's speeches. I've forgotten her name, young 18-year-old lady who was just like really astute and really on it. I was just like really.
What about this argument? What about this argument that Pete Barnes advances, which is, look. The Labour Party are massively unpopular, the Conservatives are massively unpopular, and the Liberal Democrats are kind of a bit nowhere. And yet, Farage isn't at 40%, he's at 30%.
35, isn't it? 30.
Well, 35, yeah. But it's not massive.
But it's 15% ahead of the next one.
The reason for that is because the mainstream media don't present Reform as they actually are. They like to sort of band around these tropes that, the racist word, that, we're
far
right wing, all of that, all that kind of thing. And I don't think that's getting through the mainstream media, which is why people are still reserved when it comes down to Nigel and his policies.
Although we do think that there will be some shy Reform voters where they won't admit in opinion polls they're voting Reform, but they will in a general election.
Definitely. I think that is inevitable that that's going to happen. And I think the more and more we begin to hear from Nigel and his team, and the more they're able to get their policies out that they want to bring forward in their manifesto.
Are you worried about a lack of... Are you worried about the perennial thing that people complain about, which is the lack of personnel, that they don't have, a shadow minister for everything? They don't have all these special advisors. They don't have 600... Well, they need 650 candidates for Parliament and probably 400 to 500 candidates for the House of Lords. They need... as an example... If they win the next election, at the moment they have no members of the House of Lords. They're going to need, I think, 40 ministers in the Lords. Probably. I'll tell you what. Let's be conservative and call it 25 ministers in the House of Lords. And at the moment, they've got 0 members of the House of Lords.
Can they sort that out on the first day they get in?
They can give them peerages on the first day.
The thing is, the other part is Labour and Tories seem like amateurs now as well. Do you know what I mean?
Can I tell you honestly what Farage will do? Sorry. I will tell you what Farage has been advised to do. Farage has been advised to go in to the King, who they expect to be William rather than Charles. That's a different story, because obviously of Charles's illness. But he's going to go in. He's going to go. I cannot accept the Premiership of the United Kingdom unless you give me these 400 members of the House of Lords today.
Yep. Nigel is going to do everything and anything he can to make sure he's got everything in place ready for a general election and when he is Prime Minister. I'm sure of that. They've at least got 2 years, if not 4 years, to get all those...
And he must have learnt off his mate Trump that he's got to do it, he's got to plan it all so at day one he can bring it all in.
And the fact that he said that once he gets into office he will get rid of the illegal migrants within 2 weeks, I think that actually came from him having a conversation with Trump the other day. I'm sure,
I think that's right.
Because that sounds like Trump's rhetoric, to be honest. And Nigel needs to stick to his word. Whatever he says, he needs to do it now. And I think that there's going to be more people stepping up to either be local councillors for reform and MPs. I know I'm certainly going to be doing that for...
What are you running? Are you going to run for MP, are you?
I'm gonna see if I can become a local councillor for Paul for reform. So
excellent.
At least, and I would love to be an MP because I've got a really strong voice, strong opinions, and as a disabled
and you speak from your heart. You're not looking at a career. Yeah. Would that change in the future though? Once you got in the trappings of power?
No,
sure?
because I'm there. I'll be there for a reason. And that's to support people who come from a working class background like myself, who are realistic, that have had all different life experiences, and that's the kind of MPs we need.
That's what we
Parliament.
need, yeah. Thank you there, Philippa. That's brilliant. We're going to take a little breaky. 0344. No, but it's too soon. Let's not take a breaky. Let's take a little caller before the breaky. Let's talk to Heather in Girvan. Heather.
No, I think we should take a break. It's 5:30.
Well, now we've got a dispute here. No, all right, we'll talk to Heather in Girvan just to fill for a minute. Can you fill for a minute, Heather, just so we can get to the break? You got a minute? Just fill. There we go. Away you go.
Come on, Heather.
Well, I'm glad that Angela Rayner's gone.
Are you on speaker?
No.
You've got a terrible line. Anyway, so you're glad Angela Rayner's gone, yeah? You're not the only one. Another 30 seconds, please, Heather.
As for the caller, I've been listening to her. I
that was just a noise. Right, Grace. Grace in London, can you fill for the last remaining minute before the break? Grace, hi.
Hi. I was thinking about calling regarding things that Farage has said during his speech, but I wanted to also clear up. Andre said last week that we have a disagreement, I and him, because he sees that there's some kind of resurgence of Christianity in the country, and I don't disagree about that.
Okay.
I think what I do disagree about is that Christianity ultimately isn't just about culture. Jesus told us to follow him, and so it's not just about the values, although the values are great, the values that have shaped our society. It's also about making a personal decision to follow him or not.
Although I genuinely believe that there's going to be more people going to church this Christmas than there was last Christmas.
Quite possibly, yeah. But I think on the one hand, things like going to church are, I think, fantastic in so many ways, and you can learn a lot about God at church as well as meeting friendly people and all kinds of things. But the fundamental definition of Christianity is whether or not a person chooses to repent and turn to Jesus, and a lot of people aren't really thinking about that all that much. So it's not just a cultural thing as much as the cultural stuff is great.
Do you get nibbles after you go to church after the service?
You can do, yeah, you do.
That's a nice situation, yeah.
Sometimes. Well, you get nibbles during it if you're Catholic.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, definitely. A lot more people will be going in these times. What else did you want to talk about Farage, did you?
Well, yeah, I mean, he had said... apologies for my throat. He had said today in his speech that we need to get back to Judeo-Christian values in our country. And I think, on the one hand, I would really agree that Judeo-Christian values which have shaped our country, such as the idea that you should care for the vulnerable rather than just having a might is right kind of society, things that have ultimately come from Jesus' teachings historically. I'm not sure to what extent Nigel Farage has thought much about what he's referring to when he says Judeo-Christian values, because quite a few of the things that he has said and things that are policies of his are slightly in contradiction to things that Jesus taught. And
like what? Like what values is that?
I don't want to get into lots of arguments. I mean, I remember particularly him talking about how we need to teach kids that it's good to want to make money, which is, I'm afraid, he said that.
Yeah, but what he means is it's good to have ambition to be successful. It's good. I mean, the problem is with money, right? You've got to remember that money is an expression of hard work in many respects. I mean, the evil of money, for me, is much more to do with the idea of hoarding it at the detriment to your fellow man, or indeed trying to enrich yourself in a way that's abusive. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with trying to become successful, as long as that success is all about building your family, surely.
Well, I was interested that he specifically referred to money rather than simply to hard work. And the reality is, and a lot of people will be very well aware of this, unfortunately, wealth and hard work are not necessarily particularly strongly correlated.
I agree.
I mean, you might consider...
It depends what sort of wealth you're talking about, because I think that we do make a mistake in our society of thinking that everyone with a Lamborghini is happy. And I think in many respects, we exchange genuine happiness for trinkets. And I think that is the danger.
They forget about the service bill.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that's given me the greatest happiness is to seek God further. I think the material things we can think are going to bring us happiness, and they don't necessarily. But, I mean, some of the people in this world who work the hardest for the longest hours are some of the people who are, for instance, providing the minerals in our devices, or the cocoa and coffee beans that we use, and they get paid nearly nothing, and they're working flipping hard. If it was simple that we just worked harder and harder and harder...
Yeah, but we do have a society now where people want something for nothing, don't they? And I think that is a problem in of itself.
Absolutely. No, I completely would concur with that, but I think it's another thing that bothers me about Farage's policies is that I'm not going to argue loads about migration, because I do think that's very complicated, and I'm really not kind of one side or the other on it. But I do think that Farage wanting to not simply clean up overseas aid, because I know that there's to some extent that needs doing, but he hasn't. The proposal instead was to cut overseas aid, and given that as Christians we're called to...
Yeah, but there is a fundamental immorality of taking the bread out of the mouth of your child and giving it to a foreigner.
Yeah. Charity begins at home. Didn't Jesus say that? Charity begins at home.
He didn't say that.
Didn't he say that in Deuteronomy?
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
Who said it then?
Deuteronomy is long before
Bobby
Jesus
Ball.
comes on the scene.
He was Joshua.
Apparently it was Bobby Ball. Anyway, thanks, Grace. We've got to go, but stay tuned, because we've got an amazing guest next here on Talk. It's Andre and Ash, 0344 499 1000. Back in a jiffy.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. And The Sun has run a major article this week on a TikTok star who wants to become the benefit queen of Britain. Her real name's Bonnie, but she calls herself Ebony Wood. She's 26, and she basically believes that everyone who has a job is stupid. She says that she earns £48,000 a year on benefits, which, by the way, for those of you who want to do the mathematics, means you'd probably have to earn about £65,000 or £70,000 a year to be richer than her.
Yeah, she says, I'm a benefit queen, and if you work, you're dumb. I get paid double in universal credit to sit and watch loose women. So she's earning her money by watching loose women.
Now, OK, so before we start, I think I'm going to have mixed emotions on this because I don't think she's going to be wrong, but I think morally she's got things she's not
she can
right.
watch better TV shows.
So first of all, let's call you Bonnie. Bonnie, let's start with how did we arrive at this situation? You've ended up dedicating your life to claiming benefits and going on TikTok. Explain why.
I basically lost my job in 2019 and then I started claiming benefits.
Okay. And you decided that that was a better way to live your life?
Well, I'm not trying to be a horrible person with the things that I say, yeah, but I basically get double what I used to get when I used to work.
And
so
how do you get double? What is that? How do you get double 48 grand? How does that work out with your rent?
Because I'm entitled to that much.
And what's your rent paid then a month on the social?
I don't really want to discuss like the ins and outs of what my money is. Do you know what I mean?
Money. I mean, it's our money. You get 48 grand. You're happy to tell us that. So I mean, well, how does it break down?
Well, I like my rent is like £1,000 a month in it because I live in like a gated community. Because I getting myself in trouble.
But that's 12 grand, so you make another 35 grand just in other... How do you get that much money in benefits then?
They just give it to me.
Do you have children then? Have you got a...
Yeah, I got kids.
Okay, let's get back. Let's get to the start of this because here's the thing that I want to understand, Bonnie, about you. First of all, look, is your issue here that pay is too badly paid, or is your issue here that benefits are too high, or is it something different?
I don't think benefits are high because there's a lot of people that can't afford basic necessities. Like there's some people that can't even afford to get a proper food shop and they have to go to the food bank. So I haven't got a problem with the benefits being too high. I don't think they're high enough for a lot of people. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people watch me is because a lot of people don't get as much money as what I do.
But don't you think it's going to all come crashing down? Because now I think it's about 53% are net takers from the state, and eventually we can't afford it. And it's not fair, is it? Your neighbour going to work 40 hours a week and having less money than you. Do you not see the unfairness of it?
I don't think that's fair either. Like I'm not here to say, oh, like, you know, you work, you're not a good person or whatever. I'm the one receiving that from other people because of the way that I live. But I do think the system's unfair because there are people that are working every hour of their life and they're getting less money than somebody on benefits or obviously.
But isn't the fundamental unfairness? And I remember talking to the social media star Mizzy, who you may remember, about this very subject. And my comment is this: if you have the ability to set up a successful social media account, then actually you have quite a high earnings potential. And so what I would say to you is that where the unfairness comes is that you are taking the money out of the mouths of somebody who's incapable of getting a job because of disability, because of old age or whatever. And actually, somebody like you who's able to work and able to work in quite a good business should be working, whereas perhaps the benefits should be reserved for people who can't do it at disability, old age, or maybe being children.
What do you think, like, it makes somebody able to work?
Well, in your case, if you're able to set up a successful TikTok account, one would argue that that makes you a successful social media entrepreneur, and by extension, that would mean that whoever can work or can't work, you are among the can work people.
Yeah, so my social media is my work, so currently I am working, yeah.
Okay, well, if I would suggest you shouldn't say that, because that would make you ineligible for benefits.
No, that's not true though, because you can still work, but I don't earn enough money to be able to stop benefits.
And what if you actually did make enough money? I mean, don't you think it affects you mentally not having work? I mean, if you do all this your whole life, do you not think it might be a wasted life?
Well, I've not been working since 2019, and I feel like I'm more happy now not working than when I was working.
And what were you doing?
I was doing hairdressing.
Right, but I mean, you can make quite decent money. I mean, as a private hairdresser. I mean, is it because of things like childcare, which is obviously very expensive, and it just works out that it's not worth you working? And is that basically because our minimum wage is too low? I mean, it's half what it is in America.
Yeah, I don't really know what the minimum wage is,
it's about 11 quid an hour.
Yeah, so it's not actually gone up that much from when I was working, but. I was self-employed, so you know, some days I would be earning a lot of money, and other days I wouldn't be earning enough.
But this is the classic benefits trap, isn't it? Where effectively, I would say to you that sitting doing nothing all day will eventually put you in a premature grave. But it's going to be pretty hard to persuade a 26-year-old to think that way. My comment is this: the big problem that we've got here is that benefits are mandatory. And so effectively you can sit there and you can say, I will earn more on benefits, therefore I would be stupid to get a job. And the problem is, on the face of it, that would be accurate.
Yeah, that's basically what I think.
Now, I could also say to you there is a morality to going out to work if you can work, but you don't care about that, do you?
Well, no, because I just feel like we've been basically brainwashed since the beginning to, like, work.
Yeah, but I mean, what would you do?
You do understand. I mean, look, I'm comparatively well paid. You do understand that I'm paying for you. I personally am paying for you.
Yeah, but I used to pay tax as well, so.
Well, you didn't pay 48 grand a year, with respect, love.
No, but it's a human right to be able to feed yourself, to have a home, and to be able to pay your bills. I did not ask to be born, right?
Well, no. I mean, what I would. Can I tell you what I would do with you? I would happily house you. I'd give you dog shelter, bread and water every day, and you could live like that. I'd give you an old smock that you could clean once a week.
Hold on, I need to put my laptop on charge.
Okay.
Yeah, but like that's not a very nice thing to say.
Well,
to
it isn't a very nice thing to say. But what,
you're not saying very nice things.
But my argument would be.
You're saying we should pay for you.
My argument would be that I feel a sense of duty to keep you alive, not to pamper you with whatever luxuries you're pampering yourself with. I think you can get by. I think you can get by on a one-bedroom bed sit. I think you can get by on a one-bedroom bed fit and 100 quid a week, and I'll happily do that. Well, 1 bedroom per child, whatever, doesn't bother me. What you're talking about is luxury gated developments, 48 grand a year, living up watching loose women. And I mean, look, you're dipping
your hand in our pockets to pay for it, and you think that's all right. Oh, I'll have some of your money.
Oh, it's me human right in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a human right to be able to live. Why should I have to
so
pay
you're the victim. We owe it to you.
We owe it to you. I'll tell you what we should be doing. We should be thanking you for what you do. We should be thanking you for being lazy, feckless, stupid, can't be bothered.
My nails, isn't it?
What?
In it, mate.
You what?
Yeah.
Like you're literally sitting there attacking me, yeah? Why don't you just
because you're taking money. You're
Listen, I pay you to do nothing. I can attack you. It's my human right. It's my human right.
Why do you encourage other kids to do it? I mean, you know, that's going to ruin it for you.
I have to pay bills. Like, everybody should have a home. I have to...
Why do we owe you a home? Why do we owe you a home? Why?
I didn't say that you owe me a home.
But you're getting it off us.
So you're not understanding it. We are paying for your home.
Tax money, yeah? Well, how much actually goes to people on benefits? It's like 10%.
All right, well, let's just cut it to 5% then. I'll tell you what we should do.
5%.
Let's put you on a benefits diet, and we'll just start with you. We'll just start with you. I reckon you could get away. With what? Give you 10 grand a year plus a small flat. Trellick Tower's nice this time
I'd
of
be
year.
happy with that.
expensive,
I was
Trellick.
happy in a one-bed hostel. I
Fine.
don't care as long as I've got a roof over my head and I've got food. I actually think it's a silly mindset to have that you have to work your whole life to be able to literally afford the bare minimum.
Well, I would agree with that.
Most people don't have a nice house. They don't have a nice car. They can't afford to feed their kids, yeah?
Correct.
So why should it not be a human right to get everybody off the street so everybody can live a normal life?
Well, I agree with that.
So I don't really see
But
the
always
issue.
remember you are personally always remember one thing. You are personally removing 48,000 a year from our ability to do that.
Yeah, and do you know what? Do you know how much money there is in the world? There's people out there earning millions, billions of pounds a day. There's not enough money to go around.
Yeah, but why? But hang on a second. Imagine I'm a millionaire now. Imagine I'm a millionaire now. Why should my money that I earn subsidise you to sit round shouting in it and watching loose women?
Funny. Yeah, well, I'm not being funny, yeah, but I've
You're
not
not
said
very
one
funny
thing
at all,
about the way
trust
that
me.
you talk. I don't like the way you talk. I think you're posh. So there's no need to come and attack me.
Yeah, but I'm
about the
paying
way
for
that I
you.
talk.
I'm paying for you.
You think he's posh?
It's because of where I'm from.
Do you encourage your children to just live their lives on benefits?
They can be a waste of time like you.
Do you want them to go on benefits?
Do you know what? If I had a daughter and she had children and she was bringing children into the world, because if you actually look into it, yeah, the birth rate's poor. People need to start having more children.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So
they can pay for your lifestyle?
If I had a daughter and she was bringing up children, I would say all you need to concentrate is having a clean home, feeding your kids, looking after your kids, and making sure.
And what about your sons? What do you tell them to do? Go on the dole?
Go on the rob?
I don't think any single mum should be pressured into work. No.
What about sons? What about have you got sons?
Okay, let me just say one more thing, and this is actually the most solid thing you ever hear in your life. Yeah.
I doubt that. But
so back in the day, there was a family dynamic. You have a mother, you have a father. The father would go to work and the mother would be at home cleaning, cooking, making sure the home's run and making sure the children are okay, and the man would be getting the money. So nowadays, most people are having divorces, the man's leaving, not paying any money to the mum. So then now that mum and the child now have to suffer. The mum doesn't get enough money and she has to work 2-3 jobs to be able to make as much money as what the dad can. So just because a man can't stay around in a woman's life anymore, why should a woman have to work?
You're a hairdresser. You can make plenty of money as a hairdresser if you're a decent one.
Yeah, I could, but I've also got to do the school run. So tell me how I'm going to get
Go mobile. Hang on a second. Plenty of people do mobile hairdressing and make it work around the kids.
You're always finding a reason.
The reality is you're just a very angry person who's very angry with society.
You're attacking me. You're literally attacking me.
Look.
The only reason why you got me on here was because you wanted to embarrass me because you think that this little thing benefits and people that have loads of money is a laugh, but it's actually not.
Sorry, just to be clear, there was so little English in that sentence, President Macron would have been proud of it. But anyway, listen, the reality is that you are somebody who can come on a show and argue against me. You're somebody who can set up a successful TikTok account. You're somebody who can hairdress. You've made some good points, not least on Family Breakdown. The idea that you cannot get a job under any circumstances is nonsense. You've blown away your own argument by being this competent.
Okay. But have you asked me why I'm not working?
Well, I assume it's because you're lazy.
Yeah, but that's just an assumption, though, isn't it?
Well,
you don't actually know
that's the impression you've given from TikTok.
Yeah, it's a video on TikTok.
Well, if you say on TikTok, I'm not working because I'm lazy, what do you hope I'll conclude from that?
Well, I didn't say that. I just said that if you work full time, then you're done. Because
right,
I get more money
so I concluded from you when you said I'm on 48 grand a year in benefits. I live in a gated community on you. I've got a laptop. If you work full time, you're dumb. I concluded that the reason you said all those things was you were lazy. What would you have concluded from that?
I don't really care, to be honest.
Okay, Martin says, I do the school run. I have 4 kids. I work, pay taxes and care for my kids. Idiot. Well, yeah, couldn't you do the school run? And let's have a look. Wow, Andre Nash, how does she get 48 grand? I'd happily give her my health problems so I can work. Sam in Lancashire. Bin Bonnie, she's the pits. Why should billionaires give creatures like this free money via Labour? You know, you're getting a lot of hate on there, aren't you worried about that? People working who are having
That's
to
why
pay
she
for
lives
you.
in the gated
You're
community.
dipping your hands in their pockets.
She's got a bloke with bayonets at the door.
Yeah.
I live in a gated community because I had to protect myself.
What from?
Right, because you've offended.
All right, okay.
You've offended so many people.
We won't go into that,
Yeah,
but.
so I'm not being funny, but because nobody can have a different mindset. So whatever people think now, you can never change the way that they think.
Yeah,
So
but with respect, Bonnie, I will tell you what the problem here is. First of all, everything you've said is completely accurate, right? And I'll tell you why. Because effectively, you are talking about a society that is so broken that what you are saying is true, right? So there's no doubt what you're saying is true. However, what people who watch you think is they think, my God, shouldn't a young, gifted woman like this be somebody who's trying to be an agent of change to change that society rather than reveling in it?
I also think that, like, having a job shouldn't be your whole personality.
I agree.
You shouldn't think, oh, because I haven't got a job, I'm a horrible, rubbish person. Like, in society, it's always based on how much money you make, what car you have, and all of that stuff. To be honest, I just want to have a simple life.
Yeah, but you do realise you are you realise. But you realise that you are significantly richer than many people listening and watching this who work 40 hours a week. You do understand that.
I'm not being funny, yeah, but if I get a lot of money, yeah, in the future, I'll be helping all of those people out. Because that's one thing that I care about in life, is helping people that are struggling. Because I've struggled in my life and I've seen loads of people struggle. And if I ever became a billionaire, I would make sure that there would be no people homeless.
But you're causing struggling with people who are
about
disabled who can't get enough benefits because there's people, you know, swinging the lead. You're taking money off people who genuinely need it.
Yeah, I care about those people.
Yeah, well, you don't. Why are you taking money off them then? Why are you making their lives difficult?
Advisor, I basically help them get more money.
Yeah. All right.
That's basically what I do.
Thanks, Bonnie. That's Bonnie, the benefits queen. She thinks you're dumb. She gets paid double, and she watches Loose Women. Anyway, thanks, Bonnie, for that. That was very interesting. We've got a little breaky. More phone calls after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, we were going to take calls in this segment, but I just think we need to discuss what we saw, what we witnessed just there, because I'll tell you something. One thing about that girl, lady, she's 26, I shouldn't call her a girl, that's a bit silly. She's right in what she's saying. This country has been set up in a way that if she goes out and does an honest week's work as a hairdresser, she will earn less than if she sits around doing nothing.
And it's the same, the migrants would be mad anywhere around the world. Move here, because if you got in the third world, we'll pay for everything for the rest of your life. You don't have to lift a finger. You can get into loose women as well. So, yeah, you can't blame them in that way. There should be a bit of moral, And
what she's been told is, she's been told, don't worry, the rich will pay. Yeah. Britain is a rich country. There are lots of rich people, posh people like me, will pay. That's the problem with it.
The system is the problem.
The reality is, I wish she wasn't right, but she is right.
Yeah, I mean, the reason basically you need to take benefits off her, and she'd have to work. That's why we're gifting them this lottery win of life.
But if she gave up her job now, if she gave up benefits now and went back to hairdressing, what would she earn? 300-400 quid a week?
Exactly.
Something like that. She's on the grand.
I mean, this is 10 years. In 20 years, she'll have made £1 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watching loose women. That's more than they get paid on loose women.
Somebody has said that it's reassuring to know there's a replacement for Angela Rayner in the pipeline with Bonnie.
Just the right one. I mean, that's true. A whole working life will be, 4 million, 2.5 million quid or something.
But of course, she's just sat there saying, don't worry, the rich will pay.
And she's right at the moment, because it's a ridiculous... Although they're saying now they've got new people in Labour, they're going to slash the benefits bill, but they're not going to be able to do that with the backbenchers. This is exactly what happened in the 70s, where ideology basically drives the country into the ground.
Also, somebody has said it is quite amusing that she said if I was ever a billionaire. I mean, with respect, if what you do is watch loose women all day and don't have a job, my suspicion is that you're not going to become a billionaire. Yeah. All right, let's read this very long one out from Ian. Andre and Ash, my urine is boiling, not necessarily at your guest Bonnie, but also at the system providing benefits. Correct. I had to leave a well-paid job to care for my daughter battling cancer, who sadly passed away. I got no help from the DWP. I used my life savings and what's called super pension I could tap into to keep the wolves from the door. My house and my daughter out of care. She passed away and I was left on the scrap heap, broke, having spent every penny on my daughter's needs. Following her death, I'm not entitled to any sickness, grievance assistance from the Department for Work and Pension, as I was regarded as not having been employed, and I'm too well off. I asked what I could get if I was eligible, 2,700 for every 4 weeks. I want to work and to be constructive, to feel valued, worthy. No one will employ me because I'm grieving and a risk I won't turn up for work. And I could say so much more. Well, I think that's absolutely right. We're going to be taking all of your calls, and I imagine you're going to want to talk about this subject. 0344 499 1000. Let's just remind you, at Virtual Ash.
At Andre JP Walker. And these are the sort of people that she's taking the money out, that they can't afford. These sort of genuinely disabled and people in need can't get what they need. Anyway, we'll be back after the news in 2 minutes. Keep it talk. It's Andrea and...
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Ash Gould. And I guess we'll just go for Heather in Gavan. Heather, you're on Talk.
Hello, Andre.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, not too bad.
Why is your phone better now? Are you using a different phone? Why don't you always call us on the landline if this is now the landline?
Yeah, this is my landline number,
Well,
yeah.
You should always call us on this.
Yeah. And, well, today, with the Reforms conference today going off swingingly well, and I am so proud of Nigel Farage for sticking up for us.
And what did he do to stick up for us?
Well, he's speaking from his heart. The way he's talking, he's representing our opinions on what the state of this country, because we need a leader like Nigel Farage to run this country. And he will do a hell of a lot more better than this bozo Prime Minister right now.
What, because he speaks from his heart, you mean? Well, I mean, what he's up against are pretty useless, aren't they, the other leaders?
Yeah, they're pathetic. They're absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a bunch of pathetic politicians that we've got right now in Labour and Conservatives. What the hell has gone wrong with this country, for God's sake?
I was with a former minister the other day who Kemi Badenoch succeeded, who succeeded Kemi Badenoch in one or other of the ministerial roles she had, so I won't give away which one. And he basically said there was just hundreds and hundreds of letters that she'd not dealt with for months. She is incredibly lazy.
Yeah,
Keir Starmer is an absolute disgrace in terms of the way he views the world. I mean, I suppose Sir Ed Davies a nice bloke, but he believes in a capitulation to the European Union. This Zach Polanski is a dangerous communist. There's only Farage left.
I know. I mean, who the hell is Keir Starmer to criticise that Nigel Farage went to Washington, D.C. to Congress to explain what's going on in our country? I mean, they have a right to know, because this Irish guy who arrested at the airport for what he was putting out on Twitter in April, and that is absolutely disgusting.
Well, no, he's an Irish citizen tweeting from America.
Well,
I mean, the idea, there has always been a principle. There's always been a principle that you can't prosecute people for your laws abroad. So let me give you an example. When planes arrive from Amsterdam at Heathrow Airport, people there, if you were to test their blood, would test positive for cannabis. Cannabis is decriminalised in the Netherlands. If you say to a customs officer, I smoked weed in the Netherlands, that is entirely legal. Weed may be illegal in Britain, but it is not illegal in the Netherlands. Can you imagine a situation where you turned around and you said, right, somebody, an American citizen on a tour of Europe, has come from the Netherlands, smoked weed there, we're going to prosecute them for breaking drugs law in Britain. That's only the same as Linehan. He was tweeting in America.
I know, it's diabolical to cause him to have a stroke at the airport and end up...
Well, yeah, his blood pressure was very high. He didn't have a stroke, but there was a risk of it because it sent his blood pressure high. It's a disgrace that they sent 5 armed police. They could have literally phoned him to say, can you come and visit the station?
What did you think?
Well, also, they were security at the airport. We need them to be security at the airport with terrorists, serious terrorists, not going up to a comedian who's just tweeted something that isn't... Well, it's got to be looked into, but it's looking like there isn't any laws been broken. Well,
let's just be clear. The law that they said he'd broken, Section 3A of the Public Order Act, A, doesn't apply in the United States of America, and B, doesn't have trans as a protected characteristic.
No.
I know, because like America has freedom of speech, and you don't get arrested in America for freedom of speech.
Well, I have to say, thank you so much, Heather. What about what Nigel Farage was talking about in the US Congress, this idea, and this is why the hearing took place at Congress. It had nothing to do with prohibition of free speech in individual countries. So they were going, well, what about your free speech in North Korea? What about your free speech in Russia? What about your free speech in China? They said, no, that's not what the hearings were about. The hearings were about the way that there are countries around the world, namely the EU and the United Kingdom, who want to regulate American companies and American people as if they lived and they were domiciled in the United Kingdom. As an example, the online safety bill, if a British child accesses material to a US website run by Americans, owned by Americans, and they access material that the British government does not like, then that company can be fined 10% of its global turnover. And of course, that may be people who've never visited Britain. That's what the hearings were about. Anyway, Joe is in Wiltshire. Joe, you're on talk.
Right, she'll come in a minute.
Oh, here we go.
Joe.
Right, talk to the phone.
Hey, Joe.
Come on, Joe.
Joe.
Come on, Joe.
Wait, she'll be here soon. We'll just... Wait.
Come on, Joe.
Joe.
Joe, come on.
Joe.
Right, just to explain to everybody, what you can hear now is 14 seconds ago. So what happens is, if what you're doing is, if you phone us up and watch us on the TV or listen on the radio, then you will have no idea what's going on. Joe, are you with us?
I am.
Hey,
okay,
Joe.
go for it.
Oh. I'm just so confused about this bonnet.
Yeah.
Is that it?
She's been very short-sighted. I was the same age as her. I only had one child, not 4 or 6 or however many she's got. And my take-home pay was $7,500 a year.
Yes.
And my rent was $3,600 a year.
Yes.
You do the math.
Yes.
Okay.
3.5 grand.
Okay, I'm going back some years. I'm 63 now.
Yes.
But I was about 26, 27 then.
Yes.
I could have earned more on benefits. I could have sat on my backside and had more money coming in through benefits. But I focused on a career.
Yes.
And did that pay off in the end for you?
Oh, totally. I'm a senior professional now. And I have spent my time and effort, and I earn an awful lot of money now.
Yeah, but how difficult, Joe, how difficult is it? Because I'm sat opposite, we've got our people in the gallery. Now, the production staff that produce this show, you've got to remember that if 48,000 a year after tax, I'm saying it's about 65 grand. That's a guess off the top of my head. Might be more like 70. There are going to be very few people in the production gallery who earn £70,000 a year. And they're sat round thinking, well, I'm here at 10 past midnight at night. Why should I bother?
Oh, give over. It's a good job. Come on. You mix with people, you network.
I will be honest with you, Joe. I've got my uncle is not the most intelligent man you'll ever meet in your life. I'm not being disrespectful to him. He started off as a bricklayer's labourer, and I have to say he's worked his way for years and years and years. He's never made a fortune, but he now has a house in the Highlands of Scotland, bought and paid for. He likes falconry, which is why he's in the Highlands of Scotland. But in his retirement, he's got the money he wants, he's got a house paid for, and that life of work has benefited him.
Yeah, and that woman, Bonnie, well, I say woman, I've got to say girl. You said girl earlier, and then said, oh, I shouldn't say a girl. She's a girl. She's low.
But she's a mother of a few kids, though. I mean, you know, this is the thing. We infantilise people, and they actually are like children when they're grown up. They stay as children, like teenagers.
They do. Now, my daughter, she's 23. and she has more acumen than that young lady.
Yeah, but my lunch had more acumen than that young lady.
Yeah. No,
but do you think the younger generation coming through, it's so bad for them? And a lot of them are now, they lowered their voting age to 16 because, you know, Starmer thinks they'll vote for the left. But actually, a lot of the youth now and people like 23 and under are now thinking more like you. I've got to work to get myself out of this, because basically they probably realise there won't be benefits like this in future as well.
Oh, there won't. I've already told them, both my son and my daughter, don't expect a state pension because you're not going to get it. And my daughter already has a pension plan in place, as does my son. And it's just not going to be there anymore.
No.
And what did you do? What do you do as a professional? What, are you a lawyer or accountant or?
Well, you're not far off. I'm a health and safety professional, but I deal with the legal side of health and safety, so you're not far off.
You're in health and safety? More than my job's worth.
Yeah, I know. Health and safety.
I've got a health and safety officer. I've got a health and safety officer friend who is actually not one of the nutter ones, and he's actually superb. He just ensures that everyone's kept safe without going, more than my job's worth, mate.
No, I don't work.
So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Before we go to the break, I'm going to give you an opportunity to evangelise about the value of having a job. So that Bonnie, she sat there and she's saying that she'd be a fool to go out to work every week. I say to her, you should get a job as a social media marketing person. Why am I right?
No, you're right. I think if she can move towards that and stick with the strengths, but she's not even doing that.
No.
She's given up. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
she absolutely has. Okay.
Thanks, Joe. Hey, look who's called in. It's Rishi. Rishi in North London. Where have you been, Rishi? Why did you call the election early? Rishi?
Well, basically, there's so many things going on with the illegal immigrants. Why are they getting new build houses?
Yes.
They scrapped your Rwanda plan, didn't they?
If they are convicted of crimes here, and we are so soft that we can't even send them back to their country. I'm sorry, but look at the guy from Epping. He was here for what? Less than a week.
Yeah, 8 days, and he
traumatized a young.
But he will be allowed to stay in Britain because he's a convicted paedophile. Sorry, Rishi, I don't know if you heard that. He will be allowed to stay in Britain because he's a convicted paedophile. Because what he will say after he's released is, he'll say, if I go back to my country of origin, I'll be killed because of what I was convicted of in Britain. And the courts will say, therefore it is your human right to stay in Britain. Here's a council house. Here's benefits for life.
Away you go.
Do you know what? In all honesty, they can literally come out and say they're bisexual or they're gay or they're something else that we currently, while we're in the ECHR, well, I mean, there's so many human rights lawyers who defend these people, but not people who defend the victims of these crimes, like their children.
I mean, you know, it's nice that you've said this now, Rishi, but why didn't you say it when you were in power? You know, it would have made a lot more sense.
Get out of it. Get out of it. Rishi's a very popular and lovely name. Rishi. Have you gone, Rishi?
Rishi.
Well, OK, I'll tell you what we'll do. Well, let's go to the break. But before we do, let's remind everybody of how to get our details. So 0344 499 1000. Now, what I want you to do, and I keep making this point, is you just go to talkTV, right? If you can look at my phone here, or if you're listening, you get your phone.
Look into the phone, not around the phone, into the phone.
You look on WhatsApp, and at the bottom on the right, there is a little sign of a microphone. If you press and hold that button and talk into it, you send a message directly into the studio, which I'm doing now.
Right, this is...
I let go, and it'll come straight through. Okay.
But there it is. Go on, play it.
Shall we play it out? Let's prove it.
Let's
Go on,
prove
play it out.
The system
You
works.
press and hold that button and talk into it. You send a message directly into the studio, which I'm doing now. Okay, and the reason I say that is because those of you who don't necessarily want to phone up or a little bit nervous can do. We've got one slot available, 0344 499 1000. But I think we should go to the break, shouldn't we?
Let's just whip Julie and see what she's got to say. Julie,
Come on, Julie.
Give it to us.
Come on, Jules.
Hiya. I just want to say what a good laugh I've had tonight. It's a great show.
Thank you.
I just thought it was so funny. The James Whale clip where Hash was saying that bloke will have to get back on the same train that he came on because he had him off the show.
Yeah, he could have got the train. He was still there. Coming on.
Oh, another thing, I just wanted to mention Angela Rayner.
Yes.
I'd just like to tell you what I call her.
Go on,
chav.
The chav.
The chav.
The chav.
I don't like the term chav because I think it demonises working class boys, doesn't it?
No. I mean, I'm working class.
You're not going to believe. Do you know what the gypsy word is? Do you know the Roma word?
Showing up the working class, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what the Roma word for young boy is chav.
Is it?
It is. In their dialect, chav.
All right.
So what about your life, Julie? What did you do? Did you raise children, have work, or what sort of life did you have in Manchester?
No, never had any children. But I worked all my life. You know, I always had hard jobs. My last job I worked in old folks' home for 15 years. And
Did you do it during COVID?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I was going to ask you about it. Sorry.
Yeah. But I'd just like to say I wouldn't take an halfpenny off anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I remember years ago there was an old fellow I worked with, not in the old folks' home, and he wanted to give me £50 because he used to look after him, you know, just in work, and he used to come out with me and my husband, and we'd look after him, and I said, no way, I don't want any of your money. He had one daughter who lived in Australia. I said, that money should go to your daughter. I said, we've got our own money. But for her, I tell you, she shows the working class up. She is not working class.
No.
I think we should get a bit of a clip of our interview with Angela Rayner before the end of the show, just to remind everyone the genius of it.
Exclusive. That
we'll be back in a moment, but if you want to follow, thank you so much, Julie. By the way, if you want to follow Asha, it's at Virtual Ash.
And if you want to follow Andre, it's Andre JP Walker at Andre JP Walker.
Also, if you want to go onto my YouTube, we've got a brilliant video about Angela Rayner to watch it after the show, and that's just youtube.com/Andre Walker. Sorry, www.https://www. All right, back in a mo.
Yeah.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, so thank you to all of you that have watched the Angela Rayner interview, which we had at the beginning of the show. We're going to give you a bit of a repeat at the end because we think it was absolute genius. But let's go for Les in Cheshire. Les, are you a man or a woman?
I'm definitely a man.
Are you on hands-free, Les? Can you use your hands, please?
Can I use my hands? Well, I can.
I've got to be totally honest with you. I had a friend of mine.
Is that better?
No, no, it's not.
Les, I had a friend of mine who lived next door to a couple called Chris and Les, and over the years they didn't know which was the man and which was the woman. Come on, Les. Right, what have you got to tell us?
Right, you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
No.
Right, first of all, I want to give you both my respect in relation to James Whale.
Thank you so much.
And give my heartfelt feelings to Nadine, who's lost him.
Thank you very much.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
However, I'm getting to a point now where I'm so confused about this Labour government
that
I don't know which way to turn. Now, I've watched the Reform Party's conference fully, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
Now, that's the first thing. However, given that Keir Starmer has now had a reshuffle, and sticking certain people out of office and putting people into office is now doomed. He's just completely doomed.
Yes.
Well, equally useless or even more useless people in position now.
He hasn't got any good people, that's the reality.
I mean, David Lamb is now, it's out of the fire and into the frying pan, or the other way around.
Exactly. The thing is that I've had some information from the DWP in relation to future taxes, pensions, because I'm a pensioner. And you may well know that before tax, you can earn £12,570 before you get it. Now, based on my pension and the amount which I get for pension credit, and also a small annuity pension, I get in total £16,120.16.
Right.
They come into pensions for 20% of tax. That means I'm going to have to pay each month £236.68 to the HMRC, because they're coming from me as a pensioner for tax that I'm earning over and above.
Right.
To pay for people like Bonnie, who we had on earlier. Yeah.
Exactly.
He was on 38 or 40, what was it?
48.
48 grand watching loose women doing nothing in a gated community that you're paying for.
Although for £1,000 a month, it won't be the best gated community in the world, will it?
No.
Exactly. And you can see this all over the place, online, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook. All these young people, all they want to do is look beautiful and do certain things to sell things online, and
I agree.
They don't produce anything.
No.
They don't produce anything. All they do is to make sales themselves to get.
Yeah, but the big problem is, Les, and Asher and I have discussed this before today, and we've always said, right, and this isn't us evangelising about our background, but, whatever way you look at it, the Catholic community, the Irish Catholic community has certain values which are fairly similar to the Jewish community's values. That's not true of absolutely everybody. So as a result of that, Asher and I grew up in a world where things were valued that were more important than just material goods.
But that was like the whole of Britain society. That was what we believed in, and that was the high trust society. The whole community looked after each other. That was the whole point.
Nowadays, people believe happiness is a Lamborghini. Now, I've got friends who've got a Lamborghini, but what you have to understand is a loving family is going to give you long-term love, long-term happiness. A Lamborghini, the number one thing a person who's bought a Lamborghini wants is a second Lamborghini, which proves to you that it will not make you happy. I mean, if you want to drive around fast, it's great, but if what you want to do is replace it for real happiness, the Lamborghini will fail.
Exactly, and the thing is that a working attitude, and that's all about a working attitude, that working attitude creates a self-worth, and also make friends with people and colleagues, and you get on in life, etc., etc. But these people are just sitting on their asses and they're just selling things online. They call them influencers, don't they?
Yeah.
Influencers. It's not the way things are, because everything in the town where I live, the shops, are all boarded up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, Les? It's all going to come crashing down, isn't it, the economy, and eventually we won't be able to afford the benefits, and all the taxpayers that are leaving the country and the entrepreneurs.
Well, I think there is one thing that I would offer in defence of this, Asher. One thing I'd offer in defence is that there has always been people who resell products. Now, whether that be a corner shop or an influencer, you know, there's not a massive
nothing
difference.
against influencers, but I mean, she wasn't even an influencer. We're not really talking about if you're an influencer and you're making money.
The influencer.
That's that's all good. It's paying tax and everything.
There's just a matter of interest. I always say that you don't have to give any personal details away because you're a caller rather than a guest. But are you in one of the Cheshire seats that is likely to be marginal at the next election?
I've voted for reform. I've always looked at Nigel Farage as someone who is so charismatic that it's unbelievable.
It's just you sound like you're from my bit of it. You sound like you're more from the Wigan-y type bit of Cheshire, which is Warrington-y.
I was actually born and bred in Bolton.
Yeah, I got that. But whereabouts in Cheshire are you?
I live between Sale and Altrincham.
So are you in Altrincham and Sale West?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be an interesting seat at the next election.
Oh, absolutely, because I'm definitely going to be one of the candidates that is going to promote the Reform Party, given the up-and-coming general election, which Nigel said is 2027. I think it'll be 2029. However, 2027, we're aiming for that.
Yeah, so just remind me, Altrincham and Sale West, obviously Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 committee, got it in, I think, 2001, 1997, something like that. But he retired and got a seat in the House of Lords. Did the Conservatives retain it?
Sorry, say that again?
Did the Conservatives keep it at the last election?
No.
No. OK. So it's a Labour seat?
It's a Labour seat. It's a Labour seat, and Jesus Christ, I mean, I go out up and down this road every day in my car, because I'm disabled anyway, but I go up and down in my car and the potholes are just something.
Well, I'll tell you what will be very, very interesting, which is part of the reason why Nigel is all over people like Nadine Dorries, is because in places like Altrincham and Sale West, if the predominant Conservative brand is Reform, then they'll suddenly become competitive, won't they? What he wants people to do is go, now the local Conservatives have lost the seat, let's never bother voting Conservative again, we'll go with Reform. Do you think that's what will happen in Altrincham Sale West?
Exactly, because talking to people, especially pensioners anyway in the area where I live, they're saying, oh yeah, Reform all the way.
Yeah.
And when I go out shopping, and they're in the streets talking about this government and the last government, and I sit down and I talk to them, and they say, yeah, Reform all the way.
Yes.
So you're basically saying it's going to be a landslide for Reform in the next election?
Yeah, it's just one of them things that is going to shake up the politics of this country.
I agree with that.
Which is what happened last time with Brexit. I mean, that is what Farage does. He's able to shake things up, but this time, you know, they won't be able to stifle it if he does get a majority.
Yeah, I mean, there was one incident, if I can say so.
Yeah.
There was one incident that there was a Palestine march and they were shouting "River to the sea," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
However, a young woman who was dressed with a mask on, which was all in black, was stood on the outskirts of it, and this guy came up behind her and started to wiggle his front in front of her, and it was caught on camera, and it's like it's just not allowed. It's not allowed. But the person who held him under citizen arrest was a guy from that Palestine march who was wearing a keffiyeh and held him for the police for arrest. Now, that tells us a lot, that, doesn't it, really?
What does it tell us?
It tells us that some of them people in there may be thinking other things. And
okay, so somebody says, Andre, I have a friend who says you talk a load of bollocks, and I have a friend. How many friends have you got?
Les. Thank you, Les.
I think you're a bit of a storyteller, and that's from Taff in South Wales. Let's go to break. Thank you so much, Les. And by the way, Altrincham Sale West will be interesting. 4,000 Labour majority at the moment, having been a safe Conservative seat. Remember, it was the only seat in Greater Manchester that the Conservatives held from 1997 to 2001.
And break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, the Select Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. And let's go to Karen in Cornwall. Karen, you're on Talk.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
morning,
All right,
chaps.
Morning.
Morning. It's just to say I'm an old bird, like you're getting on.
Mm-hmm.
And
How dare you?
Well, there we go. And I just like tonight. I've had a lovely night. I live in a little village now. Been out down the village parish hall, few beers, quiz. Was able to walk back up the road on my own in the dark. Absolutely no worries.
Yes.
And that to me is a thing of the past now.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you're from the West Midlands. You're from like Birmingham or something.
Up the villa.
Yep. So, did you? How long ago did you leave there? And did you leave there because it wasn't like, the same Birmingham you grew up in?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the Birmingham area, but I joined the RAF, and I've been a bit of a wanderer since.
Yeah.
Right.
I sort of went back to Kidderminster and lived for a few years, and I lived in Worcester, and then I found myself down here. Retired now.
Nice.
And yeah, but in all the time I've been out, in all my wild days, I've never worried about walking home in the dark or anything like that. And I really feel for the young girls now who can't go out on a night out without fear.
Well, it's horrendous, isn't it? And the young men as well. I mean, you know, stabbings and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Men as well. And the things that are happening now. And it just seems that we've really lost our way. And when I came back, the reason why I phoned was when I came back, you were just talking about the Fabian Society.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I listened to Alex the other night, and she had a couple of guests on explaining what it's all about. And so many things just fell into place.
Yeah, it was very interesting, that show, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's something that needs to be broadcast widely. Now, we know the BBC, ITV, Sky. I can't see it coming out there.
Well, they're probably members of the Fabian Society, aren't they? Because they've gradually, you know, filtered themselves into high positions over a sort of 100-year, 120-year period.
Yeah, and that's the worry. I think people need to know what's at the back of it. And I think that would stop any potential violence that might happen. With people just absolutely losing the mind with what's going on, because it's for things like Glinner being arrested for tweets and Lucy Connolly, all that. And when you see paedophiles and rapists, I've just seen something on X tonight about the woman who'd had a stroke and has been found to be murdered because she was raped to death. I don't know.
Well, we don't know any. We that's probably an ongoing. We don't know anything about that. But yeah, there's just stuff like that going on all over the country.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Karen. Thanks for that. Give us a ring another time. Let's go to Chris in Thurrock. Thurrock, Chris.
Hello.
You all right?
Hello.
What's up, Chris?
So, what you were saying earlier about how Nigel Farage has a habit of getting the majority when certain people at least think he won't. As someone who voted Labour last time, I'm really hoping that he does get that majority.
Why?
I really am. Because we cannot carry on like this. Something has to change.
Why did you vote Labour? Because there were a lot of warnings. I mean, I remember Peter Hitchens and even Rishi Sunak said what would happen, and it came to fruition. Why did you vote for Labour? Did you think there was going to be change?
Well, I felt the Conservatives had their last chance at the old school establishment, if you like, and Labour deserved one more chance. I am ashamed of myself for voting Labour that night.
Well, I wouldn't worry. I mean,
well, no,
the whole...
you should feel some shame.
Yes. No, I take that comment on board. Good. We can't carry on like this. I'm not going. We can't carry on like this. I'm not going to comment on the case of, for example, free speech. I'm not going to comment on the case of the Father Ted creator.
You're not allowed to. You'd be arrested if you do.
But we have major free speech problems in this country.
And how old are you? You sound like quite a young person. What are you? 30 something?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm 45.
Well, still quite young.
And what do you think? What do you think are the main things that you would be looking for from Nigel Farage this weekend? I mean, I know he's spoken today, but normally in his conferences he speaks every day. Yeah. So what are you hoping are going to be the big things from a Farage government?
Well, not to follow any of the established rules. Just no matter how it's been done in the past for years, centuries, etc. Just start again.
Reverse all the Blairist laws, the tens of thousands of laws, get rid of the civil service and bring in a new one that will do what you tell them, basically.
Well, if that as well, yes, maybe, but we've just got to start again. We've just got to rethink the whole lot, and we've got to start again. But free speech, that is definitely a major issue, and that needs to be looked at.
Is Britain in terminal decline, or can it be turned round?
I'm not sure. I don't think... I think there is hope, I really do, but not for much longer.
Yeah.
So I've been involved in something myself, which has made me really, really realise we have got a major problem with...
What's that? What's involved? What have you been involved in yourself that's made you come to this realisation?
Well, and it's a big one, unfortunately, but... and I do have written proof of 90% plus of what I'm about to say. But in January of this year, I was supposed to start as a new police officer.
Right.
However, this didn't happen. I was removed from the process before I'd even started the job.
Right.
Because on election night, I appeared on television saying, as a Labour voter, I appeared on television that night as a Labour voter. One of the recruiters didn't like the channel, and I won't name them because they're not you, but one of the recruiters didn't like the channel that I appeared on.
Was it the other place?
It was.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
As a result, I say she didn't like the channel. She denies that, but we fell out as a result, and before you know it, I was removed before I'd even started.
Oh, what a terrible shame.
And I later discovered that an entire vetting objection was raised in my case as a result of all of this, with the line, "We fear he may have an ulterior motive for trying to join the police," but that bit's a bit more complicated. But they didn't tell me about the vetting objection, and they didn't record the vetting objection properly. And as a result, I've never had any defence or any defence to it all to this day.
And is there any hope of you getting the job that you wanted?
I don't know. The reason I'm saying it out loud on air finally, and I've been dying to say this on air for about 9 months, is because I don't think so now.
No.
You see, because my local MP as well, and I won't name this MP, has me and them have tried to approach them a number of times to say, well, you know, for a start, why haven't you followed the standard procedures for a vetting objection? Why wasn't it recorded properly? Why has he never had a defence? We've been totally ignored for 6 months. We've just started to communicate with them now, but it's not going well.
Do you think it's something to do with the colour of your skin as well? I mean, you know, we hear that...
No, I don't. In all fairness, I don't think that's got anything to do with it, in all fairness. But I will just say, I won't name the police sources if you don't want me to, but it's not the Met Police. I'd just point that out. It's not the Met Police. Thank you for letting me say it on air, because it's completely destroyed my life, and I just wanted to say it on air.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't let it destroy your life, because there's a lot of people who won't join the police now and are quitting the police because they're very disillusioned. And if you were in the police, you know, you shouldn't be doing things that are immoral or you think are illegal. So, you know, it's a test of your own. You know, maybe you shouldn't be in the force until it sorts itself out.
The thing is, when there's stuff like this going on, they clearly need more people like me.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they are not acting with fairness and integrity by not giving me the right of appeal for a start. So they clearly need more people like me. I do have proof to back up, like, at least 90%.
No, I believe you.
I've got absolutely no doubt whatsoever that if you appear on GB News, you would be blocked from being a police officer. I've no doubt that that's true, and I bet that's true of the Met and presumably Essex Police or whoever else.
They're politicians. The people at the top now, they have to toe the line. If you don't, you're out and you're cancelled. So basically, all the people are filtered and all on the same group think.
Okay, let's...
I've got an article on X, if anyone wants to see it. It's actually called "Can You Join the Police If You Have Appeared on GB News?" Thank you for... Can you
tweet it? Can you tweet it to me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can do that. I will set about doing that.
Thank you so much. Andre JP Walker at Virtual Ash. Okay, we're going to go to a break. Then we're going to come on. We got to show a little bit of the interview.
We had an exclusive with Angela Rayner.
Also, I have to say to you, I look forward to reading that tweet, and in fact, I think I'm going to comment on that on my YouTube channel, which is at Andre Walker, about whether you're banned from being in the police if you just appear on a right-wing or presumed to be right-wing TV or radio channel. More next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, at the beginning of this show, we had a worldwide exclusive with Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister who had to resign today. And it was such an important interview that we thought we'd show it again in the closing minutes of the show. Here we go.
As a proud woman from a working class background, I just want to say that I am very humbled by the position that I got myself into. It was a proud moment in my life, and I'm very pleased with how well I did and how hard I had to work to get to where I got to.
But you didn't. But with respect, you didn't work that hard. You took money out of the family trust in order to buy a holiday home in Brighton. That makes John Prescott look like Mother Teresa of Calcutta.
Right, well, I'm not across the details of quite how it happened.
OK, let's go to Alison in Buckinghamshire. Alison, you're on Talk.
Good evening, guys. I spoke to you
Morning.
yesterday and it got cut off.
Yes.
And that it wasn't a technical fault.
Oh, thanks, Alison. Let's go. No, I'm only joking.
No, my phone died. Yeah, I was just going to say to you, my son just started college. Yeah, we started yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was a bit overwhelmed he actually felt out of place because no one, apart from two people, were white.
Really? Whereabouts was the college? High Wycombe?
Amersham and Wycombe College.
I'm going to say, actually, the problem is because there's only two white people there, and he's now one of them. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I got onto Crossrail the other day, the Elizabeth line at Slough, and I was the only white customer. And actually, the reality is, I don't want to judge people by the colour of their skin, but it does show you the change in this country that now I am an ethnic minority.
Yeah, it actually made him feel uncomfortable.
Why did it make you? Did they sort of sit in cliques of their own sort of people?
Well, yeah, they're all in their little groups, you know, and that's, it's like they've sort of ruled you out before you've even started, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, and my son's a confident boy. You know, he makes friends quite easily. But for him to say that, I was quite taken back by it. He said he did see one white girl, but she was Ukrainian.
And what did he
Really?
think?
Hang on a second, let's just be clear. So he was the only white British person at the college. The white woman was a Ukrainian refugee.
Yeah, and his teacher is, I don't know what I'm allowed to say anymore.
Well, don't worry about it.
His teacher's even black, so...
Well, that doesn't matter, I mean...
No, I think...
I mean, it's black people who are British. It's not really about...
Hang on a second. Can we just be clear on the point she's making? The point she's making is not she has a problem with people being from ethnic minorities.
Yeah.
The problem isn't that people are black or Asian or Chinese. The point I think is being made is that, you know, this is supposed to be a predominantly British country, and the change that has happened in our society has been so rapid. I'm sure many of these kids were born in the United Kingdom, but uncontrolled immigration has changed our society, and it's just a fact.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do feel, I think the reason, I mean, I feel uncomfortable is because is the attitude of it. If if everybody could just get on and just, whatever religion you are, just keep it to yourself.
Alison, let's be clear. Most of us who are white are experiencing being an ethnic minority for the first time, right? So I didn't, as a child, get onto a train or a bus and feel like an ethnic minority. The first time I was an ethnic minority was when I lived in Lambeth in South London, and it is frankly, it doesn't bother me that much because I just tootle around and do my own thing. But, you know, you've got to be fair with people. When you talked about in the 70s and 80s about what it was like to be an Asian person or a black person living in a predominantly white society, you now have to talk about in London what it's like to be a white person.
Yeah, but it is different because, I mean, there was black people and brown people and we were all British, you know. In the 80s, you didn't really look at the colour and, you know, you got black British people who have the culture and brown, but now that's changed, hasn't it, with the more modern systems.
I mean, my dad was really racist. He was terrible, which is quite amazing because he's actually married to an Asian woman now.
I've seen it before.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. He was very, very bad. But I was never like that, and I never have been like that. And, you know, I just think it does make me feel a bit uncomfortable because everybody's so angry.
But I think also, and this is the one thing where I would defend myself. If we have jobs that say blacks, you know, applications only from people of black or Asian backgrounds, if we have, say, the Stormzy scholarships at university, which are only open to black young people, then I'm afraid we do have to think about what we are going to do to stop discrimination against white people. And maybe that is to say that there are jobs reserved only for white people. Scholarships reserved.
Well, we should just ban any of the, you know, ban the whole lot and have a meritocracy, and there should be no colour bars.
I would prefer that, I must say.
Well, what I think is everybody should stop arguing about ethnicity and saying every time someone of a different nationality does something, we're being racist. It's not, it's a fact.
But Alison, be realistic. In Britain, the number one political issue used to be class, it's now race. You know, Martin Luther King said that you should be judged by the content of your character rather than the colour of your skin. Nowadays, if you say that people should be judged by the contents of their character and not the colour of their skin, you'll be castigated as a racist.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is why when I was telling you about my dog and stuff, because the family is Muslim, I was worried, not in any bad way at all. It just crossed my mind. Will they back away a bit because they're who they are?
Yeah. OK, Alison, thank you so much. I've heard it before. My son's going out with an Asian girl. The family don't like white people. Oh, if the shoe was on the other foot. OK, Karen is in Stirling. Karen, you're on talk.
Yes, hello.
Hi, morning, Karen.
My two beautiful boys.
You're going to have to turn off your TV. We can't hear you.
Well, my TV is turned off, by the way.
Yeah. Karen?
Can you hear me?
No.
We can hear what's in the background.
You were saying that we were two beautiful boys. We heard that bit. We are two. You said you are two beautiful boys, and we know that. And what else do you want to say?
What I want to say is, see that lassie, Bonnie.
Yeah. Bonnie, the benefits claimer.
Aye.
Aye.
What she needs to realise is, see, your wealth is your health.
Your wealth is your health.
Health is your wealth. OK, we're struggling to hear you here. Yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult. What I want to remind you is what you're listening to and watching is 14 seconds ago. So if you leave your TV or radio on when you phone us, then we will have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Thank you so much, Karen. Oh, by the way, I don't know if any of you have heard of the language app Duolingo, but it's run by it's used by millions of people, and the global worldwide winner of the Diamond League last week was Ben Fletcher. Ben, how are you?
Ketal?
Can I just ask you a question? Are you here to make the announcement?
Oh, look at the camera, look at that. It's made the camera go mad. Ben's going to be doing the show after simulcast with talkSport and talkTV on our show.
Ben, we made this announcement 2 weeks ago accidentally, but can you make the announcement again?
Yes, I'm taking over weekend overnights on talkSport and Talk, replacing the, thank you, very difficult shoes to fill with Martin Kellner, but try and fill them all.
He's
well.
only a size 6. He's very tight.
I have to say to you, it's been a long time coming because you've been filling in for Paul Ross for years and years and years. Tell us what you talk about on the show, because we want all of our audience who are on the radio to stick with you.
Well, it's mostly sport, as you can appreciate, but we will be looking at world affairs. We'll still be ducking over to the United States. It's a bit like an international airport lounge, the show. Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of everything.